You are listening to Lorehammer, Episode 7, Humanity, the Horus Heresy.
Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. This is our 7th episode. My name is Eric.
Hey there, I'm Mark.
This is Jordan with you again.
And then today we have back on from our very first episode, it's Christian.
Hey everybody.
Everyone's favorite...
Lover?
Wait. It doesn't matter.
I believe your exact words for Christian when, in one of our episodes was... He's a great guy, but a terrible human.
Is that going to go on the quote page?
That actually sounds about right.
I think that was verbatim your quote.
I was actually going for everyone's favorite non-completionist. That's what I was going to say now. Little side note, Christian opened up his phone not 3 minutes ago.
Oh, jeez.
Scroll through the pages that he has open on his browser. Over 100.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where it's like, well... You have all the internet on your phone, you might as well turn off your Wi-Fi, you no longer
You don't
need
need
it.
anything else anymore.
I have every Wikipedia page open at the same time. In case the internet ever goes down.
Like, you gotta wonder, like, how long was the first one opened? Like, does he cycle these on, like, a monthly thing? Or has this been, like, 2 years?
Since I had the phone.
Right, and how old's the phone?
A year.
So, there's a page on your phone that hasn't been reloaded or refreshed for over a year, but you still got it.
Yeah.
Terrible human.
Well, every 6 months I
Great
go
guy.
through it and refresh.
Great guy.
Great guy. Terrible human. Okay. Let's get into Warhammer at some point, I guess.
I've actually recently become a Lord of the Rings guy.
Not the first time we've heard that, oddly enough.
I know, and I'm looking for people to become Lord of the Rings guys with me.
This isn't where you get to plug your other podcast, Mark. That is not...
Is this your 6th podcast?
That has to be a paid advertisement. I charge very hefty.
Oh.
Do you call it Lord Hammer?
Oh my gosh.
Copyright.
Lore of the Rings.
But it's funny, actually. So, for anyone listening, like, I get this question a lot where people ask me, like, why Lorehammer? Like, what is Lorehammer? And I give them that blank stare, like, what do you mean, like, Lorehammer? Like, a story, and then hammer, because Warhammer.
Yeah,
Lorehammer.
like it's a lame pun, but how do you not make that connection?
Yeah, and it was so weird, because I've had multiple people say that. So, for anyone listening, lore is...
It's a real word, but it's the verbal passing down of stories or traditions.
Yeah.
So, like, literally what we're doing, like, verbally sharing, like, the story... Not really traditions, but the story of Warhammer, that's
the traditions
lore.
of genocide.
My favorite family tradition! Thank you, Father Emperor. No, but, like, what we're doing is lore.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I had 2 people ask me, like, what is lore? And
You just blank stare and, like...
Yeah,
okay, so
I had, like,
lore,
a brain...
and there's hammer,
Yeah.
and we put Lorehammer together, and they still staring.
Yeah, I had a serious brain fart when they were
and
like,
at that
what
point,
is
you
it?
basically just have to unfriend them from your Facebook account.
Yeah.
Because they're no longer worth it.
Dye
Cut
your
off
hair...
all ties.
Yeah, dye your hair black, delete them from your phone.
And your name's Chad now.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. And the question is, what is your favorite media for Warhammer? What is the way you best enjoy Warhammer? Mark, let's get your answer first.
So my favorite recently, and by recently I mean like the past like year and a half, has definitely been podcasts. I love podcasts. Like, I just put it in at work and I listen to 40 hours of podcasts a week, if not more. And a lot of my Warhammer.
Mark, a work week is only 40 hours.
I have a shitty job that requires not only my heart and soul, but also my blood. So
Blood, sweat, and sacrifice.
Exactly. But so my favorite media is definitely podcasts. Some of the big ones I listen to, like the independent characters. Like, I'll listen to them if I'm kind of just in a casual mood for like any Warhammer conversation. Like, they kind of just have a good coverage of everything. Then, like, if I'm kind of in like a fluff or like a rules crunchy mood, I'll listen to like Masters of the Forge. No, not Masters of the Forge.
Forge the
Narrative. Yeah, sorry. And then, like, there's a couple other ones like that I'll just listen to depending on my mood, and I'll kind of just stack them up, and then one day I'll just listen to 10 episodes. you know.
You just blow them all out.
Just blow them all out.
Yeah.
But
we've all been there.
Yeah. So anyone listening to this podcast, like, you know what I mean. Like, podcasts are sweet. So definitely my favorite media or way to enjoy the hobby right now, and has been for the past like year and a half, has definitely just been podcasts.
Huh. It's just such a crazy turnaround from like what the hobby is, right? Like it's your ideal of it has transcended. You don't even need to touch plastic anymore. You just need the sound waves.
Oh, I still touch the plastic.
I don't want to know what you do with your plastic.
That's
between you and your garage.
The best is when I'm like sitting on the couch with the wife and we're just watching like, you know, Netflix or whatever, and then I'll stand up and a bit will fall like out of my hoodie or something. And I kind of
out
make
of
that,
a fat roll.
Well, what? Yeah, and you just kind of like casually pick it up and hope she didn't see it. But,
I wasn't rolling. Christian.
Probably have to say just like online, just reading articles on, I don't know if you guys have plugged this website before, but 1D4chan, which doesn't take Warhammer super seriously. It's kind of a joking website, but it delves into the lore and everything of it in a humorous way.
yeah, it's
So just
In
for
like a very sarcastic way.
yeah, and so you're learning, but you're also entertained at the same time.
Yeah. I think a lot of the reason they do that too is to avoid any kind of legal issue that might arise.
I don't know about that. I think
Yeah, because they are very like they even talk about rules on that site.
Yes.
But they are not like you can't use them as the codex.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can use them for like little helps. But yeah,
Yeah, but they have like cool like strategy like articles
Yeah.
and stuff there as well,
It's a
along
pretty cool
with the lore
resource,
stuff.
actually.
Yeah, so it would be a cool thing even for listeners if they could log into that and just check it out. And they have all kinds of other like
Did they
tabletop
pay you to say
games.
that?
No, I'm not. This is not a paid advertisement. But if they are listening and want
Just
to
saying, we're
send some money
open.
this way,
Yeah, so all online forums. I'm
yeah,
assuming
yeah. I
Reddit's-
also browse like
Reddit's involved.
Yeah, Reddit. I browse the Bolter and Chainsword, like all those, discussions of the fans, communities, just hashing out questions and things about the lore and the backstory and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
my number one go-to.
Now, do you ever participate in these, or are you just solely?
I'm just a stalker.
He's a lurker.
I'm a lurker.
Oh, you're
in
the worst.
background. Okay. Is there a reason why you don't participate in them, or?
I find usually by the time I get to any topic, what I would have said has already been said.
Okay,
So,
fair enough. Yeah.
I've yet to find
No
an
original
article.
thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm part of the hive mind. We all think it's
Well,
one.
at least then you have contentment,
Yeah,
right? Because you're like, yes, someone else has corrected his folly.
yeah, exactly.
Jordan.
Well, I think because I'm not as deep in the shit as you guys are. Actually Lexicanum, and just clicking hyperlinks for hours, going from one subject to another, and then
before you know it, your internet page looks like Christian's page, where you have
120
ads.
tabs open.
And
yeah. I actually love reading through the Lexicanum, but it's sort of a black hole like that you never come out of. So
oh yeah,
The best pages on Lexicanums are the ones where it's like one sentence. And you're like...
Because then you can actually finish it. Yes, no more links have been opened on this page. I fully grasp this topic.
And then all of a sudden the word of is hyperlinked and you're like, uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Where is this taking me? No, it's just like, it just lists a planet and it's like, this planet is in this segmentum. And you're like, huh, I'm glad I know that now. And then you move on with your life,
I'll remember that forever.
Yeah, exactly. For me... I really, really wish that I did more building.
Yeah.
I like that's my favorite one. My favorite is sitting down at a table, cutting bits out of like a sprue
and talking smack with a bunch of guys.
Yeah. Like on like that's my favorite. What I do the most is obviously going to be online, because I don't have a model room in my house.
But
mainly because it was either with my roommate, it was either that or me. So I could either choose like a bedroom or a model room. I like to sleep on a bed, so I'm not.
That's
at that
not
point.
very good host quality. I think we're gonna have to either you're gonna have to step
Someone's
up your
got to
game.
write. Someone's got to write him a letter. I think.
Yeah. So in terms of media, what would you like to see? Like for me, I would love to start to see Games Workshop producing good movies, Like, they had the Ultramar
And
movie.
good games.
They do have good games. They've really stepped that up.
Really? I've played only a couple, and I was disappointed.
Which ones did you play?
Yeah, it depends on what you play.
Warhammer or 40k online.
Okay, yeah. So
That was one. And then I played one. It was like a strategy game. It came out
Dawn of War.
maybe Dawn of War, but
really, you didn't like that?
I wasn't super into it. No.
Do you just not like RTSs?
No,
or?
I do like RTS.
Oh, because you play StarCraft.
Yeah, I love StarCraft, but I don't know. It was like when did that game come out? Like 8 years ago.
It's old, yeah.
So maybe I'd have to play it again. But.
I would agree that movies would be the coolest thing to see, but it will never be a good movie because Games Workshop is way too finger deep in the movie. Like they want way too much control over the movie, which removes any kind of creativity or ideas.
And most likely the only person who'd be willing to direct it is Yui Ball.
Oh my gosh.
I'd rather not have that.
At that point, I don't want the movie.
Yeah. But like I don't know why they haven't made a good like Warhammer movie though. Like you were talking about the creative aspect of it, but it's like they write hundreds of books each year, and like the creativity is flowing through their books. Like they write bestseller books.
True.
Like
my argument against the movie would actually be Warhammer as a setting might be better suited for a TV series or like a serialized story.
Just because of the scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's like our podcast, right?
Yeah, like
we're 7 episodes in, and we still haven't been. We're like halfway through our basic outline of the universe, and we've put
how many hours? Into it?
10 plus hours into talking about it.
Good luck
just
making
to
a movie
understand
on
the
that.
basic of it.
I don't know if I agree with that completely though, and my example would be Warcraft.
Yeah.
How well did the Warcraft movie do though?
It didn't do as well as they thought, but it didn't do as bad as what most people think. So I just looked at this. Warcraft cost $160 million to make, and it brought in the box office $437 million. Not as good as they wanted it to be, but not bad.
Yeah, definitely.
By any means.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they could do a better job. I mean, like look how good things like Game of Thrones is doing, right? They have like a really in-depth like world, and I'd like to see that.
There's lots of titties in Game of Thrones. There wouldn't be as many.
Slanesh.
I had this one guy message us, and he's like, "Oh, how family friendly is your podcast? Other podcasts I listen to drop the F-bomb every 3 words, and they talk about Space Marine genitalia." So I'm trying to refuse the urge to make a Space Marine genitalia joke on the topic of a TV show.
And he failed.
Well, I didn't make a joke. I'm just stating a fact that we're family friendly.
I'm smiling.
I don't like that smile. That's
I think we've already been rated explicit.
I rated it explicit.
Well, yeah, like okay, so we do the odds where maybe 2 or 3 an episode, but there are some where they're.
Yeah, I definitely think we're a little tamer than most.
But anyways,
Yeah.
Space Marine genitalia.
Right.
Thoughts?
That's a topic for
That's
next
gonna be a
week's
2
episode.
thumbs up from Eric.
He likes it. He wants more.
That's gonna be on my picket sign when I go outside the Games Workshop office. I'll be like, new movie, lots of penis. Do they even have penis? Who knows? All right, Christian, you were saying about movies.
TV shows.
Yes,
Yeah.
TV shows. Okay.
Yeah, I just think you could get way deeper into the lore and the background and the history.
The thing with a TV show is, like, to do 40K justice, you'd need a huge
Budget and editing.
Or it would have to be like an entirely animated show.
Well, that's the other thing. Would you do live action or animated?
If it was a TV show, I would say like
Attack of the Clones wasn't bad.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah, like that.
Like,
Even if it's stylized animation.
Yeah, animated would be I think a bit more realistic than like live action.
But I hated.
Well, not realistic.
I hated Ultramarines because it was animated.
I think it was just the
it
subpart
was
storytelling.
so poorly.
I think it was
done.
more just it wasn't that it was animated, it was poorly animated.
Ugh, it was wretched.
Because
Like,
they have this one movie that some guy's been making for like 5+ years or something called The Lord Inquisitor.
yeah.
And his animations are sweet. Or like if you look at like the Dawn of War trailers,
Yeah.
those are sweet.
Yeah. But that's Games Workshop.
I know, but like
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the director who's choosing. Who's like, I absolutely love this animation style. Like, Games Workshop is gonna have their fingers so deep into anyone who's making their movie.
Yeah, but I do prefer that they have more control over their IP and you don't have people making like wild, super inaccurate, like lore inaccurate.
Why can't you
movies.
have the same process through books as through movies?
That's above my pay grade.
I think also the tough thing to do with like is because like you'd be depending a lot on your hardcore fans to be like to go and watch the movie.
Yeah.
So you'd have to. It's hard for me to see like Hollywood sticking to the story like as much as they should.
They want to have a broader audience.
And the thing about it is that the
but you're
universe
gonna like alienate your own fan base.
Yeah.
the galaxy is so large, and a lot of things are so open-ended. You could pretty much write a script, and if it involved Space Marines killing a bunch of like an alien invasion on a backwater planet, how bad would you really mess that up?
Yeah,
that's true. But I like the concepts of the warp or the emperor and stuff. Like getting those right would be tough to do in a movie.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone wants to put in on that?
No, I think
we're Gucci.
Good to go.
All right. So, an amendment that Christian pointed out to me was during the Orc episode. I said it.
No, it was the last episode before this one, the Great Crusade. Oh, which correction?
Pre-Imperium?
I don't know. You make a lot of mistakes. I'm not around.
It was when we talked about Lionel Johnson.
Yeah, that was the Great Crusade.
And I said that he was a Games Workshop writer.
Yeah. No.
But he's
a poet and you should have known that.
Now's not the time to try your rapping.
How long were you thinking about that?
Just came to me. That's why I was so bad.
He was a poet.
He was a poet in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Yeah, and his name was Lionel Johnson.
Yeah.
And he wrote The Dark Angel.
Yeah, a poem called The Dark Angel, which is like a not so subtle nod from Games Workshop.
Right. They're full of them.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways, I was partially right.
Good. Now that we got that off the table.
Okay.
It was weighing heavily on me.
Upon his soul. Addendums. So these are the things we're going to add. Last time we talked about the Crusades, apparently we failed to mention the scale of the Crusades.
Yeah, and we definitely didn't mention the Imperial Navy and the Mechanicum.
Right.
Like, they're there, but they're supporting characters. So let's talk about the scale of the Great Crusade. It's a galaxy-spanning crusade, which, if anyone knows anything about space, the galaxy's massive. Like, you can't even comprehend it, it's so big.
I can comprehend it.
No, you can't. I just Googled
I'm
it.
doing it right now. No. I am currently comprehending the size of the galaxy.
You're a better man than most.
It's mind-blowing. Wow, I love it. So good.
Yeah, so they sent out, like, thousands of fleets with millions of guys in each ship, like, millions of everything. Like,
this is no small undertaking.
Yeah, it wasn't just the 20 legions and they're like, let's go take 3 planets. You know, like, it was like they conquered the entire galaxy with millions of troops and with the aid of the Mechanicum and the Imperial Navy, or Army, which is basically like
regular folk.
Regular soldiers, yeah. Whether they're conscripts or
elite trained
or
whatever. That's just everything that is like a human and isn't a space marine.
Yeah. They might go to one planet where the humans are even wearing power armor,
which has happened.
Yeah, but they're still not space marines. They're still classified as like Imperial Army.
They're not. They don't have the gene seed.
Yeah.
So they're like lots of people. So the scale is that this is like involving all of humanity, which has had thousands of years to spread across the stars. Okay, so now let's talk about the Remembrancers. Christian.
Yeah, so just to kind of touch on the Adeptus Terra. So as the Great Crusade was expanding, the Emperor started laying down like a bodywork of bureaucrats and rulers and administrators to run the Imperium behind the front lines, let's say. So part of that was the Remembrancer Order, which was started as like the world's greatest poets and writers and speakers, the greatest artists to go and document the Great Crusade as it was unfolding.
Yeah. One thing to note too is one of the like the actual guy who founded it was Malcador the Sigillite, who founded the Remembrancers. And we've mentioned him before too, the Emperor's right-hand man. He thought it was a good idea to record actually what's happening. Yeah, where the Emperor is not like a sentimental person, he saw no need necessarily to like record this stuff.
But it can double as like propaganda used to solidify a greater human empire, right? To have a common history.
Yeah, exactly. Where like Malcador the Sigillite actually seen that and decided to use it.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Remembrancers.
Just not much more to add, but they were attached to the Imperial fleets to the front lines. Some Primarchs even had their own cadre of remembrancers around them. Depended from legion to legion. Each one had their different attitudes towards having civilians on the front lines. People like Leman Russ hated having remembrancers around. He thought, you need a weapon to be on the front line, right? He only wanted soldiers. Whereas Primarchs that appreciated the arts, like Fulgrim or Horus, who was more of a diplomat, were able to like incorporate the remembrancers better into the front lines to give them like a behind-the-scenes look at life as they were conquering the galaxy.
And really, too, like, it was propaganda, too. Like, it's not just... I'm sure they were not giving accurate details. Like, when somebody, like, a remembrancer is painting a picture of the Great Crusade, he's not... I don't think they would be drawing, like, Space Marines getting massacred. Even if they won the battle, like, they're not drawing that. They're drawing the typical, like, Games Workshop art that we see, where it's, like, Space Marines on a pile of dead bodies winning the war with a flag. Like, they're doing that. Like, I'm sure a lot of it was propaganda.
Yeah. The other thing too is for a lot of Space Marines are like on another level than common humanity, right? They have a hard time understanding regular humans. So a lot of times the only interaction Space Marines would have with regular humanity was through these remembrancers. There's a few books that tell the stories of these remembrancers on the front lines who kind of bridge that gap between Space Marines and common humanity, which does play a role in like the Greater Heresy and some of the attitudes that come up during that period, which we'll touch on in a bit.
Yeah.
There's when we were talking about the remembrancers before, I just had this image in my mind of like this battle happening, like Space Marines fighting orcs, and just this picture of like, because you said artists, and that's what triggered it in my brain, but this just like a ribbon dancer just like floating between the lines of like there's like bolt guns firing and like
he's majestically dodging everything.
Like that's exactly what I picture. Like kind of like kung fu mystical ability to like not get hit by anything, but like beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Right, no. Like,
interpretive dance is the highest level of art.
Like his soul was being crushed at all the destruction, and the only way he could like fully release it and talk about it was through his interpretive ribbon dance.
And that's what the Imperium needs.
Right, and that's what that is what I like to imagine their role involved.
I'm glad that's what you think remembrances are.
Yeah.
It's a good image. It's good.
Well, gotta make it good. Make it last. Anyways, that's it for changes or anything or adding.
Add-ons, yeah.
So now we're gonna tackle the dirtiest shit pile that ever existed.
Isn't that the truth?
In the timeline of 40K. Quick preface before we start.
Yeah.
This is very basic.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time we've said this, and it's not going to be the last.
Well, we keep getting comments like, expand more. It's like, we'll get there. We just need to set the groundworks. We'll get there. We'll get there.
So this is like, and we debated and argued for hours about how we wanted to present this topic. Like, do we want to break it down into 6 episodes just for the Horus Heresy? Do we
want to go through it chronological order?
Yeah. Do we want to go by who did what and not when what happened? And do we want to go by the geography, like what happened where first? And so there's many different ways we could have handled it. This was our way.
Yeah.
To all the haters, you just hate us because you ain't us.
Anus.
No, but if
you just add anus on it, it becomes magical. Horus Heinous anus.
But we know it's simple.
Yeah,
we know it's really toned back. Even when we're planning it, someone Mark will say like, "What about this?" And I just look at him and I'm like, "Wait, hold on,
reel it back in."
Christian's like, "You didn't talk about this," and I'll be like, "Well,
we know we mentioned it.
We can't."
But in order to talk about that, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, so there's a million different things.
Yeah.
We're giving you a basic skeleton.
One thing to note, if you are interested in the Horus Heresy, read the Horus Heresy book series. Games Workshop has written like 50 books probably now.
Yeah, they're I think at 50 plus now.
Plus, 20 plus short stories, plus audiobooks, plus whatever.
And the Forge World codices.
Yeah, and them too. Like, there is so much information, and we are going to get a lot of this wrong, or we're going to miss stuff.
Never say wrong things.
Just because not only is the Horus Heresy just massive,
Yeah.
it's also still changing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Siege of Terra, but technically Games Workshop has not written about the Siege of Terra. And for all we know, when they do write about it, it could be different than what we say.
Yeah.
So
they also are not unfamiliar with retcon.
Exactly. So we do apologize.
I don't apologize.
I apologize.
I apologize for nothing.
Yeah. This episode is going to give you the outline of the Horus Heresy, why it happened, what were the key events in it, and what was the outcome of it. Eventually, we will and we will go back and actually be like, what was Remote Gilliman's role?
Yeah.
In
what were the reasons he did his actions?
Yeah, what was his motivations behind it? We will do it, but we're just laying the groundwork.
Yes. Okay.
And one other final thought: if you do like this, there's a podcast called After Ultramar. It's a Horus Heresy book club. If you really want to get into like the people's motivations and like the themes in each book, they do a great job of it.
Nice.
So.
Okay. Well, without further ado, then. Roll up the sleeves and get in. Horus Heresy. The first topic we're going to start with is the corruption of the legions. So this happens on Davin.
Yeah.
First with the word bearers. We did talk about...
where we left off basically was with Monarchia.
Yeah.
And that's Logar and the word bearers basically being rebutted by the Emperor, who sent Reboot Gilliman and Malcador the Sigillite, and basically told Logar, get your stuff in order. You're not a preacher. You're supposed to conquer planets for the Imperium. We don't care if you
convert
everybody. That is not your goal. We got people behind you doing stuff like that. Not really for the Imperial faith, but they got people behind them setting up the infrastructure.
This is where like the Adeptus Terra steps in.
Exactly. Yeah. But so that's really where the corruption really begins.
Yeah, if you were to try and pinpoint it, like I would point it there.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's kind of when Lorgar's vision of the Emperor gets shattered.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden he's like, my father doesn't like what I'm doing.
Yeah, he
everyone
gets
has
that
daddy
crack
issues.
in his armor. His psychic armor.
Yeah, his psychic armor.
Psyche armor.
Psych armor?
Because not psychic, he's just... Yeah.
No.
Anyways.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it all starts. Because I feel like who really starts it is a Space Marine from the Word Bearers called Erebus. But if it was just him and he didn't have the backing of a Primarch, the heresy would not have gone very far. So let's talk about...
Or it would have had to go on an entirely different route.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
the way it worked here is that...
let's talk about Erebus.
Yeah, so Erebus was on a battle, and... Okay, so Erebus is from the planet where Monarchia was.
Colcheris.
No, sorry, no,
Colcheris,
he's from... Yeah, he's from the original planet.
Yeah, he's from Lorgar's
homeworld.
homeworld.
Yeah,
along with his father figure Corfarion.
Yeah.
They
Not
both...
father.
No, not his biological father, but the man who adopted Lorgar as a child.
Yeah. And on this planet, it's a very religious planet.
Extremely religious, yeah.
They worshipped many things, and they had different views on different things, and there's cults everywhere.
Yeah, it really makes me think of like ancient Greece when I think about it, like pantheons and like many different gods and like a very enlightened society.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of when I hear it explained.
Sure.
But so Erebus at some point went to Davin, and it's on Davin.
So backtracking a little bit, during the Great Crusade, and Lorgar, after Lorgar's corruption, so Lorgar goes on a self-searching crusade into the warp, and has visions.
And the retcons begin.
No, because he goes to Davin. So Erebus goes to Davin twice. Yes.
Does he?
He does.
He absolutely does.
He goes there the first time to learn about the serpent cult.
Thank you, Mark. Okay,
the
first time
is that before or after he corrupts Lorgar?
It's before, because it's 60 years difference in the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so Erebus goes to Davin.
Yeah.
This is where he learns about the Serpent Lodge.
Well, in combination, because he came from that religious planet,
yes.
he didn't know about the Chaos Gods, but he kind of had...
You have like an understanding that there's something else.
A longing for more, something like that.
Yeah.
But so then when he goes to Davin on the Serpent Cults, then he really finds out.
Right. And that's when Erebus is turned. The first time he goes to Davin.
Yeah.
Okay. Now fast track forward Monarchia, the burning of Monarchia has happened.
Logar's just been reprimanded for worshipping the Emperor.
That's the crack that Erebus needs to really push.
Yeah. So one thing to note about Primarchs is they're super focused. Like,
and they have like their thing.
Exactly. Like, because they're the best, and when they're the best, they become the best at one thing, and they've kind of put
Master
all
of a
their
trade.
things into it. So Erebus's thing was like worshipping the Emperor, turning people in the Imperium towards worshipping the Emperor.
Did you mean to say Lorgar?
Oh, who did I say?
Erebus.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Logar the Primarch.
Yeah.
So when he was no longer allowed to worship the Emperor, that took away like a part of him.
Yeah, his
like,
purpose.
His
identity.
Purpose, his identity. So Erebus is like, now's the perfect time to start to tell Logar about these other gods.
Right. Who are powerful.
Yeah.
And worthy of being worshipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it at this point they take the pilgrimage to the Eye of Terror?
This is when they take the pilgrimage, yes. Because Logar doesn't just go there on his own accord. Like, Erebus is very much a sneaky snake person, and he guides...
Corferon is involved in this, isn't he?
Corferion also is involved with like the worship of chaos behind the back of his Primarch, Lorgar.
Yeah.
So the two of them, like, and they're both figures that Lorgar respects, right, within his legion. So he looks up to his father figure. He looks, up to what will be the first chaplain, Erebus.
Yeah.
So they're both in big positions of power. So, when they're whispering their secrets into Lorgar's ear, he's listening.
And he wants to believe it too. Like, oh, you're talking about new religions?
Yeah.
I like new religions.
You're right. Yeah.
Like,
it's drawn to him. That's his coke.
Yeah.
Everyone needs some crack every once in a while. Lorgar's was a new god.
Ooh, four new gods.
4 new gods. Oh, I hate the crack jackpot. So after Monarchia happens, they go into the Eye of Terror.
Yeah. And this is when they fully learn about the Chaos Gods and basically make a pact with them.
Pact?
Well,
it would be
I don't think it's an actual
this isn't Moloch. This isn't Moloch.
No. But you would think at that point they're like, yes, we're worshiping you now. I don't think it was. Sorry,
there's an understanding.
Yeah, pact was not the right word.
Yeah, more like a revelation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like a turning point where they could have chosen to oh my gosh, I would never worship you. You're evil, but they make the decision to you are our gods now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then they come back, and I don't really think we're gonna talk about anything until the point when Erebus goes back to Davin with Horus. Is there anything else?
Well, there's something that we'll mention real quick. And that's just I think you asked me why isn't it called the Logar Heresy? Or you said something like that.
I said why. The question I had was, why did they have to go to Horus? One of the goals of Chaos, when you read the books, is that they actually tried to get to Horus specifically.
Yeah. And why did they
I
want
ruminated that, my thought was, that I posed to Mark was, well, is it because he's the War Master? And he was, responsible for the Great Crusade.
And I said, yeah, that's part of it. But the big reason is, why they didn't just directly use Logar. Logar was not liked. He was not the strongest. He was not the best combatant. No one really liked him because he wasn't conquering the most worlds. I think it specifically says that he was the weakest Primarch. If not, maybe Alfarius and Ultramar. But, so that's why they go to Horus. So, Logar's first step...
So they just felt they couldn't use Lorgar because he
does not have enough sway.
Yeah, he's not the character that they could use to persuade the other people. They need someone more well-liked.
Exactly.
Yeah. When the dirty kid tries to tell you what to do, it's one thing. When the gold child tells you to do it.
Yeah, the Emperor's favored son.
It's another.
Yeah. So they need to put into plans ways to start to get to Horus. Yeah. And the way they do that is Logar sends Erebus to Horus to be an equerry, to be an advisor. And Erebus, like I said before, he's a snake. He knows exactly what to say, when to say it, and he can read people very well to understand people's character flaws and their thought processes.
Just to cut in a little bit too, Lorgar didn't just send word bearers to Horus's fleet. He actually sent them to a lot of the Primarchs.
Yeah.
So his goal was to try and influence as many as he could.
Yeah.
Also the warrior lodges. That's something.
So that came out of his sending of his.
So let's explain what those are. So on Davin they had a serpent lodge, which is kind of it was a building, but it was more of like a group of people who worshipped chaos.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just a community of people who would go together and worship,
Yeah.
really like a church or a cult of a religion, but they called it the Serpent Lodge.
Yeah.
When Erebus and Lorgar and all the word bearers actually get corrupted, they start spreading to these other legions, and they start warrior lodges.
Yeah. And what these are basically, like, they describe them, it kind of changes depending on the legion, but in most legions, they were a place where everyone could go and be equals. Where this is how they started, right? Everyone kind of has, there's no more rank, everyone has equal say, and they kind of just become close, like...
It's like
a fraternity.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like...
Because when you live your whole life in military,
A very
and you're,
strict,
oh,
regimented,
absolutely.
like-
Your captain is your captain, and he's your captain whether you're in uniform in the mess hall or whether he's on the battle.
Yeah.
But then it's different once you're in a warrior lodge where you can actually
See each other's equals.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how they start to spread ideas. Like, they kind of weed out the ones that they're like, oh yeah, that's not going to be he's not going to turn to chaos. But like, you can kind of guide conversations to see where they're at. And
stir discontentment. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be chaos, but like, hey, you know, the Great Crusade's not going the way you thought it should be, right? Like, what are your gripes about it?
The one big thing that would happen too was the Space Marines started to, like, they're getting to the end of the Great Crusade, and they were starting to feel like relics. Like, they're like,
what is their role in the new Imperium?
Yeah, like, once we conquer the galaxy, what left is there for us? We conquer the galaxy. The galaxy should be ours to rule. Was one of their biggest gripes.
well, the Emperor will probably kill them all on a mountain.
Like,
my guess.
So
makes sense. So let's go back to Horus and
so
Erebus.
They're seeding through all the legions. You don't have something to say about the warriors?
Just about the whole, like, the Space Marines feeling like left out of the Imperium. Goes back to with the Adeptus Terra taking over, and they start to manage things that the Space Marines felt that they should be managing. So they're feeling like they're being cut out of the Imperium. They're like, okay, we're just expendable cannon fodder. We fight this for this empire, and then at the end of it, we're just discarded. Yeah. Just like a certain group of warriors that Eric had mentioned. But.
Thundercats! Wait, what?
So it's kind of just a growing discontentment. Which is the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So, once the word bearers start spreading their dirty little fingers in all the legions, at some point Erebus becomes an advisor to Horus.
Yeah.
And something that Mark wanted to mention is that the Mournival?
Oh, the Mournival. Yeah, so Horus had 4 members that they were captains, and they were his advisors. Like, one was hot-headed, one was logical, one was... You know, they had different traits so that Horus... Yeah, different humors, so that Horus could get, like, the best understanding and different points of view on different topics.
And these aren't just yes men.
No, they're not.
Yeah. They're people who are willing to say no to Horus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then Erebus, he becomes basically Horus's yes man.
Yeah.
Because Horus is, like, he doesn't need to listen to anybody.
No, he doesn't.
Like, so when you get that yes man in there...
It just stokes your ego of a person who already believes that if he's not number 1, then number 2 in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Which he's not wrong.
Yeah. So
this is where
so over the course of years in the Great Crusade, like, this doesn't just happen over a weekend.
No.
Like, this is planned out. Yeah. So eventually, like, Horus stops kind of listening to the Mournival, and, like, every time there's, like, a war meeting, just Erebus goes with them. You know, not quite to that degree. I think the Mournival's always present, but, like...
But it's pretty
to them easy to see when one guy just shuns your advice.
Exactly.
And from someone who, like, you've been fighting with for decades and centuries even, that's a big blow to someone you thought was, like, your best friend, your brother.
So Erebus gets right up to Horus. He says all the right things at this right moment, and he knows how to just play Horus.
Okay. Now we reach the point where 60 years passes between the very first time Erebus was on Davin, between now the sons of Horus are going to Davin.
Yeah.
Did you guys go through the whole name change and everything?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we did, but...
We did.
Okay. Sure.
The Ultramar Crusade, we did.
Yes.
When they changed their name. But, so they get a distress signal from the moon of Davin.
No.
Did they?
No. So Horus leads a campaign against an alien faction, and he's actually mortally wounded, thanks to Erebus's schemes.
Well, yeah, that's on Davin.
Yeah, but
It's not on Davin. It's a
yeah,
different.
it is,
It's
guy.
a different world.
No, it's not. It's on the moon of Davin, guy.
yeah.
Yeah, so they go back to Davin on the moon of Davin. They go there because there's a distress signal. There's like a crashed spaceship or something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly
It's
what the
not.
signal is.
It is, and that's where they find the anatheme. And
No,
that's where
the
he gets
anatheme-
wounded. That's where they get wounded. That's
They
where he
steal the
gets wounded.
anatheme from an alien race.
Guy, that
I literally read the books.
I also have read the books. Horus gets wounded in that fight by that
We
plague beast,
do know.
From the alien blade that's stolen.
which is the anatheme.
Yeah, stolen from an alien race.
Where's
okay,
the
so I
but
get-
where's
Yeah.
the alien race? Because an alien race could have been on Davin.
It's not on Davin.
Right, but all I'm saying is that what really matters is that they're on Davin. He gets wounded
Yes.
with this dagger,
Yes,
which is like, it's just a crazy dagger, and
it's like a warp blade
yeah,
essentially.
you can't heal past it,
Yeah,
right? Like it's gonna kill him.
yeah,
Really, like this being who like believes now, like Erebus has been like whispering in his ear for all these years, like he believes that he's the greatest and he's
Yeah.
making all these decisions. All of a sudden, he's coming to grips with his mortality, and he does not like it at all.
yeah. Christian is right. Like Erebus, he must plant it on the
Yeah,
moon.
so he steals
He steals it from
it's
the
an alien
Terrax,
blade, yeah.
but-
And then he plants it on the moon and gives it to a demon prince.
Yeah.
Who Horus eventually has to fight.
Yeah.
And obviously does this secretly without anyone knowing
Yeah.
that his hand is involved with it.
All right, Erebus gave the weapon to the traitor governor of the planet Davin.
Okay.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
Yeah, this episode's gonna be messy.
It's gonna be wretched
No, it's gonna be great if you like hearing people bicker.
and argue, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so what matters is that
He
it
gets
wa-
wounded
it-
by
yes.
like an
unhealable.
unhealable wound.
Yeah, maybe if the Emperor had been there,
Yeah.
because
What?
apparently the Emperor loves to just wipe his like hand over knee joints of wounded machines, and it heals the wounds in the machine.
Can machines be wounded?
That's exactly my point. Anyways,
I'm fighting the urge to cry.
okay.
They're bullying me. Mom, if you're listening, Eric's bullying me.
It's not the first time.
So he gets wounded.
Who takes him to the Serpent Lodge?
Erebus.
Erebus. Okay. So Erebus already knows the Serpent Lodge is there.
Yeah.
So he takes Horus to the Serpent Lodge, and Erebus opens up the door to allow... What? Is it...
Chaos to basically give Horus visions of the
Yeah.
future.
So they have like a healer there, like a spirit healer, or like some kind of holistic... I don't want to say holistic. That's
Yeah, who knows
That was
how
a
they
bad
do
word.
it.
I redact.
But basically, Horus is alone in this room or with one of these spirit
I'm pretty
bodies.
sure
I think
he's
he's
with this
unconscious too.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and he starts getting crazy visions.
Yeah.
Some of them are like,
It's everything. It's past, future.
yeah, exactly.
But
Some of them are outcomes of certain events that he did. And one of the big things that happens here is there's a member of the Mournival who was like Horus's favored son. Like, he loved this guy, Jester?
Haster Sejanus.
Yeah, Sejanus. And like whatever warp entity took that guy's form. Oh, and Haster Sejanus dies.
on the plateau, on Gavin?
And he
On
died.
Gavin?
No, he died, like,
he
years
dies
ago.
Years ago,
Oh,
and he
okay.
dies tragically. He doesn't just take like a bolter to the head or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, he doesn't die in combat. He dies tragically.
Okay. Yeah, because the Space Marine doesn't consider dying in battle tragic.
No.
No.
Like there's a diplomatic.
It was a
mission
cough.
Yeah,
that
he
went bad.
Yeah.
He had some diarrhea.
That's not tragic.
It is to a Space Marine.
But so the warp entities take his favorite son's appearance. So when he's in like this fevered dream state, he's getting led around by Sejanus. And yeah, we can kind of mention him too.
Well, it's Erebus who takes the form of Sejanus.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, Erebus. I thought you
Yeah.
were saying somebody else.
no, Erebus is the one that directly like puts on this mask of Horus's favorite son and starts revealing the secrets of the future to him.
Yeah, and starts like opening up Horus to the gods of chaos, basically.
Yeah, and the big thing he points out is, this could be a vision of the actual future of 40K where the Emperor is revered as a god. And where Erebus says, like, look, your father always wanted to be a god.
Yeah.
Or always was looking to get worshipped. Like, the whole imperial truth is a lie.
Yeah. So this is
The
where
imperial truth is a lie.
truth is a lie. So this is really like Horus's corruption point. This is where he gets corrupted.
This is where he truly starts to like
plot.
Yeah, it's his own plans now. He's no longer following what the Emperor wants.
Yeah. So since there's a warp blade that wounded him, they basically just stopped the warp power flowing through the wound or whatever.
Yeah.
So Horus is healed. So it's a miracle. Because Horus was brought back to his flagship. They tried everything to heal him.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything. So Horus is like, let's go to the Serpent Lodge. And he does it. Horus is healed.
Yeah. And that really kind of signals like the beginning of Horus's campaign now to begin the heresy.
Yeah. So he starts to do what Erebus does, and he starts to kind of like feel out the rest of his brothers.
Yeah.
For basically, Horus wants to put himself in charge of the Imperium.
Of course.
And he feels out his brothers and where they lie. He knew he could rely on some. Like there was like Angron. He knew he could count on Angron.
Yeah.
Angron hated the Emperor. Others he knew without a chance that they would not join him.
Right.
So he started feeling out these guys and started sending like, hey, have you heard of heresy before? And
yeah. So the ones that he knew he could get, or at least like he was pretty certain.
Yeah.
We're just gonna list those.
Yeah.
That would be Fulgrim.
Yeah. Who was like the Emperor's like favorite Primarch, like he knew, like him and the Emperor, like, him and Horus were super close. Fulgrim and Horus.
Yeah, Mark's just calling Horus the Emperor now.
Wait. Yeah.
The fever dreams.
Yeah, so he knew he could get Fulgrim.
Yeah.
And Fulgrim has his own story about his corruption.
We would love to
each
talk
of these
about
Primarchs
it.
has their own backstory and how they're like were opened up to corruption already.
Yeah.
So after Fulgrim, then Mark already mentioned we have Angron, Mortarion.
Do we want to briefly just say like a quick sentence on why?
Go for it.
So Angron, when he was found by the Emperor, he was on a gladiatorial planet, and like Angron rebelled and like tried to do like a slave uprising and was fighting like the slave leaders on the planet. And during the final battle, where all was lost for Angron and his army, the Emperor teleported Angron away and let his army get slaughtered. So Angron never liked the Emperor. Like, he's like, you took me away from my brothers.
Yeah.
Like, and you didn't save them. You could have stopped them.
Yeah.
And,
like, you're the Emperor, like...
Why didn't you do anything?
The Emperor doesn't give a rip.
Yeah.
He's
so
like, you're my tool, I've created you. Like,
you're gonna do what I need you to do.
Yeah, I need you.
Yeah. And in the scheme of the galaxy, this small battle means nothing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So that's what happened to Angron.
Mortarion.
Why did Mortarion fall? Just kind of...
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't really know.
Just was a bad guy.
He was just something about bitterness. He was bitter against the Emperor for some reason. I
think
can't
that's
recall the details.
really
that's gonna be most of them. None of them
Yeah.
are like, I just like him, he's a great guy. I just think Horus could do a better job. Like, for the most of the part, that's not gonna be how it goes.
Yeah.
Next would be Conrad Kurz.
Just a twisted individual.
Yeah, he already had some psychological
Yeah.
issues, like deep-seated problems going on.
Dual personality, potentially even.
Yeah, and he was on his way to actually be censured by the Imperium because of his overzealous campaigns, let's say, where he would massacre whole civilian populations unnecessarily.
Yeah, above and beyond the brutality of war.
Yeah.
Perturabo.
I think Portarabo's main thing was like, so Portarabo's specialty was like siege warfare and stuff like that. He was sent to a lot of planets after they were already conquered and sent as a garrison force. And there's another Primarch called Rogel Dorn, who was also super good in siege warfare.
Yeah.
But the difference was the Emperor treated Rogel Dorn way better, and he gave Rogel Dorn like all the perceived...
The crappiest job. Rogel Dorn the best jobs.
All the best jobs. Where Protorabo was sent to just like, there's a castle over there, we need you to take it. Oh, but I'm going to lose all my men. We need you to take it. He got all the shit work, digging trenches and stuff like that. So he kind of had that grudge where he
there's that bitterness.
Yeah.
Alfarius Omegon.
Oh, you could do a whole episode on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One on each of them. Wait,
No.
Have I said too much? Yeah.
Something simple, or...
Horus and Alfarius were always close.
Horus is actually the one that find Alfarius.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Alfarius...
And, like, the story of them fighting, like, Alfarius sneaks onto Horus's ship with a bunch of men and basically, like, fights his way to Horus's, like, chamber, kills a bunch of men, and then they finally see each other and they're like, oh, we're brothers, and they have a good time, they laugh, you know, there's dead bodies
Shrug
all
it off.
around, and, you know.
Expendable.
What's a
Yeah.
few bodies between brothers?
So Horus knows this, but he doesn't know the truth of the Alpha Legion and
Gotcha.
Alfarius.
And
so,
neither does anyone else.
Yeah, which we'll get into that
Yeah.
maybe just a touch, but later.
A couple...
Now?
No.
Well,
There's no reason to.
no? Okay.
Just know that they sided with Horus.
Yeah, and...
Yeah,
'cause
the
him and
Alpha
Horus were
Legion,
close.
the Alpha Legion went traitor.
Yeah, and the other thing
Debatably.
too, like, the Alpha Legion was the last Legion to be found. He never met the Emperor, I don't think.
That's not confirmed. I couldn't
no,
find...
it is.
I
The Alpha
couldn't-
Legion is the last Legion
No,
to be
that
found.
one is.
Oh,
But I couldn't find it anywhere that says he doesn't meet him. The Emperor was still on his crusade when that happened, so it's very possible that
Either way, Horus, like, adopted him under
Yes,
his wing a lot more than the
exactly.
Emperor ever did.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's gonna the
If
relationship.
If him and the Emperor did talk, it would have been brief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why he fell.
Yeah.
Well,
Part of it.
yeah. That's why Horus think he fell. He fell.
Two other things we're going to mention in this that aren't actually part of the Astartes would be the Fabricator General Kelbor Hal of the Mechanicum.
Yeah. So we were talking about earlier. The Mechanicum basically what makes all the weapons. They make the ships, and they have their own like army.
Yeah.
Like, because during the Age of Strife,
Like they supply
were-
they supply the war machines to the
Yeah,
Empire.
because during the Age of Strife, when humanity was separated, they needed armies to defend their own territory. So they were already like a superior, technologically advanced like subsect of the Imperium. Like
They really are like their own empire within the Imperium, and it's kind of just a mutual benefit
So
that the Empire has with it.
how did Horus corrupt Kelbor Hal?
So the big thing about the Mechanicum is that they're always looking for information. They always want to learn things, especially like leftover technology from the Age of Strife.
STCs.
STCs, standard
Yeah.
template constructs, are the most, as you guys mentioned before in a previous podcast, are like the most prized possessions in the Imperium.
Yeah.
The knife
Like,
one.
you
Yeah,
Like, the
you
best
get a world
knife.
for a knife.
Yeah.
So Horus, who's already like leading this galaxy-spanning crusade, promises the Mechanicum all the STCs that they find.
And one other big thing he promises them: freedom to advanced technology.
Yeah.
So
Because
at
of
this
all the
point-
regulations
Yeah,
from the
at
AI.
this point,
Exactly.
it's super heavily regulated. Where Horus is like, you do you, like, as long as you
Get me
bow
the...
to me,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can do whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
and I'll give you these things.
So yeah,
Okay.
the
The other
temptation
thing-
of forbidden knowledge.
Yeah. The other thing he corrupts is half the Imperial army, and
Which is a lot of people.
this to me is awfully tragic though, because the Imperial army gets shafted either way. Like, a lot of the Imperial army fights for Horus because they know that if they don't, they're gonna get killed. Like, there's oftentimes where Horus will go to a system and he'll send like a distress, or not a distress, like a warning, like, if you guys fight me, I will kill you. So a lot of them just join him because they're like, you know, the
How do you
Emperor's-
fight the Star Gods?
how do you fight them? And the Emperor's not going to save us.
Yeah.
Like, the galaxy is too big. The Emperor can't be everywhere at once. So they just join them. That happens a lot. And also you get those corrupted humans that are just like,
Some
yeah,
who are like,
Horus.
oh, finally, like,
Yeah.
I can
Well-
do it. I can give into my mad ravens.
Not to underestimate Horus's influence either. Like, Horus is like number 2 in the galaxy, right? So what do you do when like
yeah.
the Emperor, like these gods, Horus and the Emperor, are pitted
Yeah.
against each other?
Yeah.
You pick a side,
Yeah,
right?
you have to. You can't stay in the middle. And like Horus too, when he turns to chaos, like at this point, he's not like sprouting tentacles and like
No.
we worship the dark gods. You know, he's not saying ridiculous stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
he's still
It's
the
very
favored
subtle.
son who's like put all this work in to conquer the galaxy. Him and his legions did all this. You know, like
And yeah, to further solidify his like control over the Imperial Army, the Emperor's gone back. He's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the guy that's on the front lines with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick
Like-
with me, right? The Emperor
Yeah.
abandoned you like he abandoned me.
yeah. So there, to me, there it's awfully tragic because it's just like either side they choose, they lose. They're
Yeah.
just expendable. Like where the
You're
Mechanicum
so
guy, like
the Imperial Army is so far down the food
yeah,
chain.
where like the Mechanicum guy was like offered stuff like here, have this. Where the
He had to
Imperial
be bribed.
navies is like, do this or you're gonna get killed. Like
Yeah.
either way, you're gonna get killed.
There's no good answer for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have 3 Primarchs listed here that Horus thought he could turn and didn't, which would be Ferrus Manus, Jag-Hatai Khan, and Lion L. Johnson.
Yeah, and the reason for most of them is just
he called it wrong.
And Lionel Johnson, they were kind of secretive and kept to their own devices, and like they were hard to read. So Horus is like, they might join me. Like I don't really know them all that well, but like neither does the Emperor. They might join me.
Right.
And then Ferrus Manus, he was super close with Fulgrim, who was super close with Horus.
Right.
So he was going to play off Fulgrim's and Ferrus Manus's relationship to try to get him to join. Because at this point too, let's keep in mind again that Horus is not sprouting tentacles. Like, he is not like
no one's making like open promises with him.
Yeah, and he's super charming, and like all the same qualities he had that made him good are still there.
So when
now he's just posing other questions.
Yeah. So when Fulgrim like goes to Ferrus Manus, it's very much that well, we're doing all this work. Like Horus should be in charge. You know, like he's not going there saying, "Hey, have you heard of Slaanesh?" You know.
Yeah.
So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Something I really want to mention. There is another Primarch that turned. He's a traitor. His name is Magnus. Mark and I
we almost came to blows last night over this conversation. Magnus is the tragic tale of the Horus Heresy.
It really is. Like when you first he is lumped in with the traitors.
Yeah.
And he is and his.
Everyone has a choice.
Yeah. They
made a choice.
Yeah. They fight for chaos, but when you find out how it happened, it's
tragic. It's sad.
Yeah, it is a little. Like you sure at any point he could have said no.
Yeah.
But it was a little what's it called? When unexpected. His story was unexpected for me because it really was surprising to hear.
Because Magnus eventually becomes one of the Chinch's main man, like one of the big 4 chaos gods main man. So you'd think that's one bad dude.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Yeah.
And his do we want to talk about it real quick? We can sum it up in 10 sentences.
Go for it.
Sum it up.
A little bit is involved with Horus's visions on Davin.
Exactly. So, Magnus is an extremely powerful psyker. His legion...
Second to the Emperor? Malcador?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I'd say he's above...
Top 3, at least.
Yeah.
I'd say he's the second. So, whatever.
We'll argue about power levels later.
Yeah.
Over 9,000?
Oh, it's much over 9,000.
So, when Horus was being corrupted by Erebus in the Serpent Lodge, Magnus actually sent his spirit to try to help guide Horus to the right path. And he's seen what was happening, but he could not change it. Because he was not there physically, he had to stretch his soul across the galaxy.
Yeah, this guy is sending a vision across the galaxy.
Yeah, where Erebus could just kind of block him out and keep him at bay. So when this happens, Magnus is like, oh shit, heresy.
Yeah.
As one is to say. So he goes and he astral forms himself all the way to Terra, to the Emperor, and to his secret project, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And he basically wrecks the secret project, and the Emperor gets pissed off.
Yeah.
And he was the big thing about the Imperium is they don't like psychic powers. Like, they don't want you to know about the warp powers. And there's a council at one point.
Safety through ignorance.
Yeah, there's a council at one point that called the Council of Nicaea.
Or the Trial of Magnus.
Yeah, which specifically banned psychic powers.
Yeah.
And what turned out was Magnus, if you use psychic powers again, you're gonna get a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So then when he uses his psychic powers...
To the point of where the Emperor explicitly says, I was reading the quote, it says, anyone who disobeys my word on this is my enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is not a place you want to be.
Yeah, so Magnus sends his spirit all the way to Terra.
Breaks
not only the psychic the psychic ban, but also breaks the Emperor's secret project that was his most favorite thing.
He left the Great Crusade to go work on this thing.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
he's pissed. He's pissed.
Yeah.
So what happens is the Horus Heresy isn't fully happened yet, but the seeds of it are happening.
Yeah.
It's in play. So the Emperor tells Layman Russ to go get Magnus and bring him back to Terra.
For punishment.
For punishment.
Yeah.
What happens is Horus intercepts that message and says to Layman Russ, the leader of the Space Wolves, kill like burn Prospero, kill Magnus. Like,
yeah, Prospero is the
he
Magnus'
tweaks it
homeworld
slightly.
planet.
And Magnus jumps at it because he doesn't like psychers, blah, 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 blah. But so basically, the takeaway from this is Magnus is attacked on his home world. His entire planet is destroyed, all because he tried to warn the Emperor that Horus was falling to chaos.
Right.
And that's what makes it tragic. Then Horus
Right, because at this point, he's already pinned as a traitor, kind of.
Yeah, and Horus sends another Loyalist Legion to go wipe him out. Like...
So he's backed into a corner, right?
Yeah. So...
It's like if enough people call you something, like, they won't listen.
Yeah, and they start, like, threatening physical harm on you. You're
Right. Like
I'm going to fight back.
No matter of words is going to change their minds,
Yeah.
so you're forced into it. So
Yeah.
And then the Ahriman's spell and everything, it gets cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, we'll get into that. That's a huge
yeah.
thing. But that's basically the takeaway. Like...
Yeah, from Magnus. But
Horus never thought that Magnus would join the traitors.
Because
but-
Magnus knew about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like...
Kind of cool.
Magnus was a good guy.
Yeah.
But he was forced... He had a choice to, but he made the wrong decision and eventually joins the side of Horus because the Loyalists no longer will like him.
Right. Okay. That kind of
covers which Primarchs turn to which side.
Yeah.
Do we want to just mention the Loyalists again real quick? I don't think we ever did the Loyalists.
It's everyone else.
Yeah, but let's just ramble off some names.
Go for it.
Sanguinius, Ferrus Manus, Corax, Vulcan,
Coleman.
Reboot.
Rogel Dorn, there's White Scars, Gigantic Can,
Yeah.
and one more of some.
Lion.
Oh, Lionel Johnson, yeah.
Yeah.
So they all stayed loyal.
Yeah. So the
galaxy was split in half,
right.
literally.
I was gonna say the very cinematic. Literally, like half of the Primarchs stayed loyal, half of them went traitor.
Yeah.
Through Horus's interventions in the Imperial Army and through the Mechanicum, half of the Mechanicum stays loyal, half of the Mechanicum goes traitor, and then the Imperial Army is gobbled up half and half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this point, Horus has kind of turned the minds of the traitors.
Not openly.
Not openly, yes. And this is where the subtle purging starts happening.
Yeah.
And the purging is now all of a sudden you have the leader of the Legion who kind of believes in Horus and his vision of what the Imperium should be.
Yeah.
But now it's how do you translate that to the 100,000 Marines under your control?
Yeah.
Right? There's no way that you're going to get a 100% success rate and everyone's going to follow along with everything you say.
Yeah.
So you get to the point of how do you silence the dissenters?
Yeah.
And we get to the purging of the legions.
And it was done slowly.
Yeah, just sending them on like suicide missions at first. You know, you're always on the vanguard if you're, Horus is feeling out which guys are on his side.
Through
and which
the
guys
warrior
aren't.
lodges, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, right. You're not in a warrior lodge. Okay, you're on the front lines, right?
Yeah.
And then, it starts subtly at first, right? Like, you get the hardest missions, the ones with the most likely there's a casualty.
Yeah.
You're going to take casualties and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the split, too, comes from Terran-born versus Space Marines that were born on the home worlds.
Yeah.
So you have, like, some Space Marines are obviously super loyal to the Emperor and were around since the Great Crusade started, so they're obviously not going to turn.
And literally grew up on Terra.
Yeah.
And had that loyalty to
And then
Terra.
you have Space Marines that were raised by their Primarchs, right? And they're obviously more
there
loyal
would
to
be
Horus.
differences, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
they
Well,
feel
because
them out.
some would have been fighting with the Emperor back
Yeah.
in the days before
the
even
Primarchs were found.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good distinction to make for sure.
And then you have more, subtle executions of some higher ranking Space Marines, bolter in the back of the head in a back alley kind of thing, right?
yeah, I like to
in the
think-
washroom. In the washroom of their massive
They're
spaceships.
unfortunately suicided.
They even left suicide notes.
Suicided with 2 bolter shells to the back of the head.
To the back of the head.
They
Yeah.
said, "Do not think anything suspicious." Suicide note.
Nothing happened here. But that would be I more see that as happening closer to the culmination
Yeah.
of it, because if all of a sudden like executions started happening like immediately,
People would
people
notice.
are raising their eyebrows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's when things start getting to a boiling point. All the shadows are growing together, ideas, things that were only whispered about are now being talked about, and then
Yeah.
they start being yelled about, and it all it kind of reaches a point on Istvan 3, and then it explodes on Istvan 5.
So what happens?
So Istvan 3, supposedly there's a world that has already tried to retract itself from the Imperium. It's some small backwater world that Horus had conquered in the past. So they go back to quell this rebellion. So what Horus does to finish purging his legion of any dissenters is he gathers up everyone from his legion, Fulgrim's legion,
the Emperor's
Children,
the World Eaters,
and the Death Guard.
He
gathers all the people he knows are still loyal to the Emperor.
Yeah.
And sends them down to deal with this rebellion on the world. On the surface, it looks like any other mission.
Right.
Yeah,
but what matters
is
is who he picked to do it.
Exactly, and it's very odd how he picks it. Like people kind of notice, like, oh, why'd you grab half a squad from this area or this random guy from that area, right?
Yeah.
And he gathers them all together and sends them onto this world.
And so everything goes to plan. You know, they reconquer this world for the Imperium. And I don't know if Horus was originally hoping that, like, maybe this battle would just kill them off.
I sincerely doubt that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the strength of 4 legions, they're going to take the planet. But at this point...
he's gathered all his enemies in one place at one time.
Out of these legions.
Yeah. And there's one guy, his name's Nathaniel Garrow. He's part of the Death Guard. He was supposed to go onto that planet, but in, like, a previous mission, he was wounded and was not fit to be battle ready yet. And somehow he just stayed back, and he was a loyalist to the Emperor, and he stayed back on the ship and kind of was, like, piecing together, like, oh shit, what's happening here? And he kind of had his suspicions about, like, rebellion and whatever.
Yeah, you can only keep it a secret for so long.
Yeah. So
eventually it becomes a rebellion.
Exactly. And he ends up getting a message to the people down on the planet. But doing this, he's discovered. So he flees, but his message down to the planet is that, like, oh, like, Horus is going to wipe you out. So Horus has to preemptively, like, try to virus bomb this planet to wipe them all out. But since Nathaniel Garrow got the message off, the loyalists on the planet were able to take shelter and survive the virus bomb.
Yeah.
You guys have touched on virus bombs before.
Yeah.
Like how utterly devastating they are.
The life-eater virus bomb, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
just completely
the coolest one there is.
Destroys all life on the planet.
Yeah. So that puts a huge wrench in Horus's plan, because now he has to go down to the planet and root out the loyalists. Because at this point, too, like, the Horus Heresy has not really become out in the
it's not
open.
public.
Exactly. Like, only the people in this one small star system
are learning
knows.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go down to the planet and they wipe them out. They wipe out the loyalists. But there are a couple survivors, and one of the survivors is Nathaniel Garrow, who is the guy who sent the message. He gets on a Thunderhawk and he's able to head towards Terra.
On a
Thunderhawk, sorry.
I don't know if he actually goes down.
He never goes down to the planet.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He escapes. He escapes them, and he goes right from the fleet.
Yeah.
Goes to warn the Emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
tries to go straight for Terra.
Yeah. Right. That's his goal.
So the legions, those 4 legions, have now been purged of all loyalists. There's so many cool characters and so many cool parts in Istvan 3. Just, I want people to know that I know, and
we'll get back to it later.
I'm nodding my head like, yes, I love it. But so Nathaniel Garrow goes, he gets picked up, he tells about the Horus Heresy, and at this point the Imperium starts to mount a counterattack.
Yeah, they start gathering their intelligence and like, oh geez, they're connecting dots and stuff. So but in the meantime, Istvan 5.
Istvan 5, so it's in the same system as Istvan 3. And basically it's, 2 planets over.
And, what?
3, 4, 5.
That's not how it works.
And Horus starts to build, like, a foothold, like a stronghold there. Mm-hmm. And he, builds trenches, and he basically prepares himself for the Imperium's
because he knows a counterattack is coming.
So, but Nathaniel Garrow obviously tells Terra, and Terra is getting ready to fight back. So,
and at this point, keep in mind, like, no one's fully come out and chosen sides except for Horus, Fulgrim, Angron, and Mortarion. So only 4 legions are, like, on Horus's side. So the Emperor is like, I got this, and he sends 7 legions?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. I know which one's off the top of my head. I just don't know the numbers. So he sends a number of legions to go deal with them. He sends the Salamanders and Vulcan. He sends Korax and the Raven Guard. He sends It's the other.
Well, there's 3 he
Loyalists.
sends in the first, and the
Iron
third one
Hands.
would be Manus.
Iron Hands
Yeah.
and Manus. And then, so he sends them in the first wave. And then in the second wave, he sends Logar and the Word Bearers. He sends
Alfarius.
Alfarius and Porterabo too, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
and Conrad
Perturabo and
Cruz.
Conrad Kurz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the plan is like, the first 3 legions go and they fight and then they get tired and
Yeah.
they withdraw.
Well, Horus
and then
actually
that's-
knew where they were going to come, and he had them pinned.
Yeah,
Well,
so he creates
yeah.
like a kill box right
Wait.
in the landing zone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So like, the first 3 legions go, and like these legions think that the 4 legions behind them, like Lorgar and Porterabo and Cruz, and
Yeah.
they think that they're loyalists. Like they all came here together to take care of Horus.
Yeah.
But this moment, the full truth of the heresy is revealed. Those 4 legions that were supposed to be loyalists opened fire on the actual loyalists, and they're basically trapped between the 4 legions that Horus already has there and the 4 legions that are supporting them.
Yeah.
And they create the kill box.
Hence the drop site massacre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool name.
It is.
Yeah.
It turns into a massacre for the 3 loyalist legions that are there.
Just
Yeah.
decimated.
So
Yeah.
the keys to take away from this battle, there's 3 main keys. The Raven Guard and the Salamanders and
Iron Hands.
Iron Hands are basically they're decimated.
Yeah.
Where they might have had 100,000 Marines, now they only have 10,000.
Oh, yeah, it's pathetic.
So that's the big
And then
thing.
the
He cripples 3 legions.
And the death of...
Ferrus Manus is another big one.
Yeah. So they lose their Primarch.
Fulgrim ends up killing Ferrus Manus. And
That's devastating.
Yeah.
To the Legion. Like, that's all morale gone.
yeah, exactly. And then the third point is what happens to Vulcan,
Who disappears.
who disappears and gets
And is thought dead by his
Yeah.
legion.
Yeah, thought dead, but what really happens to him is he gets captured.
Yeah. So that is... Yeah, that's the revelation of heresy. That's
Yeah.
when everything, the pot boils over, everyone can now look at this horrific mess.
Yeah. The one other, I guess, final thing to note is
We've gone from 3 points to 5 on this.
no, there's
We'll hit the lucky
this is
number
only
7.
the fourth. This is only the fourth
Okay.
point. I've been counting. The Raven Guard on the home planet they got a message and were actually able to go to the drop site massacre and pick up a bunch of the survivors. And this is where they picked up Korax and the very few survivors. I said a bunch, but there was not a lot of survivors.
Yeah.
But they're a little
So-
bit from each legion.
Yeah,
So you have
exactly.
a handful of Iron Warriors that escape, a handful of Salamanders
Yeah.
that escape, a handful of
yeah.
Iron Hands that escape.
Yeah. So 3 legions are crippled, 1 Primarch is dead, 1 is lost in battle, and
That's devastating.
Yeah.
To the loyalist side. Because
Yeah.
where before it could have been equal, now... the
Now it's
footing-
3 or 6 against 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, the galaxy is torn asunder.
Yeah, this is now when like everyone starts turning on their brothers and
Yeah.
like all the
It's civil
plans.
war.
Yeah, all the plans that Horus put into motion up to this point are now being
Openly revealed.
exactly.
So and there's lots that happens here.
Oh yeah.
Once again, we're not going to cover it all right now.
Yeah.
But one of the main things we want to talk about is the War of Ultramar.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that
Reasons why we talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about what is Horus's endgame first, and then we'll talk about why he fought the battles that he fought that we think are important to the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
So Horus's endgame is ultimately to kill the Emperor. To do that, where's the Emperor? He's on Terra. So he has to go and siege Terra.
Right. And if he just goes and sieges Terra, the Emperor's just going to call all his armies back to Terra, and Terra will just be destroyed.
Exactly.
Right? Like
So-
there's no winning in that one. Like Horus couldn't have a good shot at that. Horus doesn't want like a even fight.
He wants a victory.
a winning
Yeah,
fight.
he wants a victory.
Yeah.
So these are the things he does to ensure that Terra is his.
Yeah. So the big thing is, I would say probably the biggest thing in the Horus Heresy, like in this stage of it, is the battle for the Ultramar segmentum. So the Ultramarines and Rabut Gilliman, they have this huge, vast empire within the Imperium. They have 400 worlds, and it's like the most prosperous. They got the best everything. Like, it's very well organized. And the big thing to note too is Rabut Gilliman, he's like a master organizer and tactician, and he has the biggest legion. Like his legion is bigger than, like his legion could be 5 legions. He has
Right.
It's more than twice the size of other whole legions by himself.
Yeah. So Horus has to do something about this.
Yeah, because if this guy brings all his power to bear, that's too much for any traitor legion to deal with.
Exactly. So they Horus sends Logar, who was jumping at the chance to go fight Rabuc Gilliman for the slight on Monarchia.
Yep.
And also he sends Angron, who is just a bloodthirsty killer.
Yeah. No real need to pump up Angron's
Yeah.
forces.
Hey.
He'll find his own reasons.
Angron,
Yeah.
little meaty bone in front of him, and he'll go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff that happens, but basically, another drop site massacre really happens. Well, not really, but like the same concept where it's like, hey, we're buddies, and then boom, they turn on the word bearers turn on the Ultramarines and are able to wipe them out like a devastating loss. Like half the legion's destroyed loss. Like that was the whole goal. The goal was never to
well, they couldn't destroy.
Yeah, the goal was never to destroy the Ultramarines. It was to like get this surprise attack and to keep them away from Terra.
Yeah.
So Rabuc Gilliman has this beautiful empire that he's built, and the word bearers are just going from planet to planet,
burning it down,
which keeps Rabuc Gilliman and his legion in Ultramar, which is on the far east of the universe, where the galaxy.
Yeah.
Where Terra is basically slightly to the west, like center west.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's a huge difference now.
Yeah. Okay.
So now he is taking care of the Ultramarines.
Yeah. And then the next thing I have listed here is the Imperial Secundus.
Yeah. Do you know much about it?
Yeah.
I haven't read the book.
Okay, yeah. So while the Imperium is getting torn in half, a lot of communication is lost because of the warp storms that start because of Horus's like influence with the Chaos Gods, right? The Chaos Gods are like, okay, we'll throw you a boon, we'll start disrupting communication and stuff, and pretty much blacks out communications in the Imperium.
Yeah.
Which also makes it difficult for loyalists to coordinate. So in that, Gulliman tries to establish a second empire because he still has total control of his little slice of the Imperium.
Yeah, he is able to fight off the Angron and the Word Bearers.
Yeah.
Because once again, the goal of them was not to wipe them out, it was just to
cripple and delay them.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, if we don't know what's happening in the greater world, we don't know if Terra is even still around. For all we know, Horus already won. So he starts to dig himself into his own Imperium and make the Imperium Secundus.
Because the big thing is like the Astronomicon, which is like a lighthouse in the warp. It goes dark. So this is why Rabuc Gilliman decides to trench himself in. Like that's the big thing. Like he no longer sees the light of the Astronomicon.
What powers the Astronomicon?
The Emperor.
Right. So if all of a sudden this light, which is supposed to be shining, guiding the human race, goes out, the power source is the Emperor, you make the logical conclusion, Emperor's gone.
Yeah. So that's, And with him he has Lionel Johnson and also Sanguinius.
Yeah. So he's trying to set up a second empire, which will play into later events in the 40K with the return of Gulliman. So
10,000 years
in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it also kind of sheds some questions on like, is Gulliman still truly loyal to the Imperium if he's already kind of setting himself up or setting up a secondary empire?
So I've never read the book. Does Rabuc Gilliman ever call himself like War Master, or does he ever actually like?
Actually, no. So what he does is he appoints one of his brothers to be.
Yeah.
It's an interesting power
to
move.
try. Yeah, exactly. To try and
the
throw.
statesman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he knows like, oh, it'll look bad if I set up an empire and call myself the Emperor.
Yeah.
So he sets up one of his
other
other
brothers. I feel like you're painting Rabuc in a really like dark light. Like let's take a step back. Like Rabuc is
loyal.
He's the best.
I'll agree. Just to piss people off, he's the best.
No, okay, best is a bad term because I don't think he's like the coolest or the best, but he follows the letter to the law.
Yeah.
Like he'll make the right decision for a reason that makes no sense. Like if the rule says kill this person, he's gonna kill him.
He doesn't ask why.
Right, exactly.
That also paints him in a dark light.
No, but okay, if the rule says if the Emperor, if like the Astronomicon disappears, like if the Empire is falling apart and the Emperor is dead, what do? You protect what you have.
Yeah.
So he's not doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
He just didn't know.
Exactly.
And there's a very big difference between him actually carving out a slice of the Empire versus protecting the legacy that he spent centuries fighting for.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say
No, that's a valid point. Yeah. Yeah.
So, anything else on Ultramar?
I don't think so.
No, just that they're tied up over in their corner of the galaxy and aren't able to run to Terra's aid.
And that's a huge cripple for the loyalists.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll flip over to the other side of the galaxy now.
Yeah.
We'll kind of talk about Terra.
Okay.
During the Great Crusade, Rogel Doran, the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, he's a master in defense. And siegecraft. So I see you guys drink water. I'm like, ooh, that looks delicious. Here, you can finish up with Rogel Doran.
So yeah, Rogel Doran gets called back to Terra.
Yeah, sip that water.
And once the heresy is revealed, he's put in charge of setting up the defenses of the Imperial Palace.
Right.
So he's reinforcing like this beautiful structure and turning it into an impenetrable fortress. They know that Horus is going to come after them.
She'll be penetrated.
What?
They know Horus is coming after
The fortress, guys.
So they're just getting ready for the eventual siege that they know is on the way.
Yeah.
Did you have more to add?
Nope, that was all. So they're there and they're fortifying this position. How does Sanguinius end up there?
So Horus, before he reveals himself as a traitor,
Before Istvan...
tries to tie up the Blood Angels, another super loyalist legion that he knows he can't turn, and sends them off on a wild goose chase into the Cygnus Prime area. Again, could be its own podcast altogether.
Yeah.
It's not clear. I haven't in the books. Like I'm reading it as a series progresses.
That's the thing. Yeah, they
so
haven't
a lot of
quite
this is
reached
happening.
point.
Yeah, a lot of this is happening now. Like they're writing it now.
Yeah.
But at some point he gets out of there and comes back to Terra to mount the defense.
Sanguinius.
And the Blood Angels.
And the other Primarch who is able to get to Terra is Jagatican.
Jagatican, yeah. However you want to say it.
Well,
But there's still other loyalist legions out in the galaxy. So we'll talk about Lionel Johnson and Lemon Russ. They are like Horus, like what he did with Sanguinius, sent all the loyalists kind of on wild goose chases before he revealed his heresy. So they're all spread out.
Because at this point, he's the War Master.
Yeah,
And
all is good.
Yeah, he's in charge of the Great Crusade, so you kind of just listen to him.
Yeah, he calls the shots.
Yeah. So when the heresy is revealed, like all these legions try to get back to Terra, and what happens is with Lemon Russ and who was the other one I said? Oh, Lionel Johnson. They end up getting constantly ambushed by the Alpha Legion. And it seems hard to like ambush people in space, but keep in mind like the whole galaxy right now is being affected by warp storms, so they're only able to make tiny, small jumps. They can't just make one jump back to Terra. And like sometimes they go into the warp and then they end up like
shot
further backwards, right?
Yeah.
So the legions
because the warp is like at this point the powers in the warp chaos is actively trying to be involved.
So this is how the Alpha Legion are able to like slow down, and every time like these two legions come out of the warp, they're ambushed, and they keep getting ambushed and whittled down while they're trying to get to Terra.
So it's just another delaying tactic by Horus to remove people that might have been at Terra and just get them out of the way so he doesn't have to deal with them.
Yeah. So
that's
sorry, what?
Yeah, no, I really think that sums up a lot of
those are the important things.
Yeah, from when the heresy is revealed on Istvan to when the final battle actually happens on Terra.
Yeah,
like a lot of it is just delaying, miscommunications, people lost, but it's confusion,
and it's over the span I think of 7 to 10 years. Yeah, is kind of the window. So you have all these like little battles and things going on.
Yeah, and each legion kind of has their own story happening. Like Corax is desperately trying to rebuild his legion, and like the Iron Hands basically don't play any role, I don't think.
There's small bands of them that try and like do running attacks against.
Yeah, hit and run attacks, but like
it's all big.
Nothing that would affect the greater picture.
So there's tons of different conflicts and tons of regions, but those are what happens to the legions and kind of where they're at right now.
Okay. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to start on the Siege of Terra.
Yeah.
So you've already listed the 3 legions that are there. That's the Imperial Fists, Rogel Dorn, Blood Angels, Sanguinius, and White Scars, Jeg Hatai Khan.
Yeah.
And then
Can I just derail for 1 second? I don't know if we ever said Terra is Earth.
Did we not?
It's entirely possible that we didn't. Like, it just seems like a common thing, but Terra is...
This time.
Jordan, what did you think? You're the beginner.
I thought it was Mars. No.
No, that's Mars!
No. I knew.
Yeah, I thought it was Earth, pretty common sense, but I thought I'd just throw that
that's a good point. It's one of those things that you just take for granted.
Yeah. Terra is Earth. It's the home world of humanity.
Okay.
The seat of power.
Now that really important thing is out of the way.
It is.
So the 3 loyalist legions that are there, we listed those. And then these are the traitorous legions that were there. We have Thousand Sons, not traitors.
Well, so... At this point,
they've accepted their fate almost.
Yeah. Basically, I say basically a lot. I tried to vow not to...
because you're a little basic bitch.
Wow.
That's all it comes down to.
Family friendly.
Not
Space
me.
Marine genitalia. When the Space Wolves invaded Prospero, Magnus's homeworld, they blew it up. But to save him and his legion, he basically made a pact with Chinch and was sucked off into the warp.
Yeah.
And basically went dark for... There, I said it again. Basically. And he went dark throughout the entire Horus Heresy, but when the Siege of Terra happens, he reveals himself. Right. And he is fully a traitor now.
So, Thousand Sons, Sons of Horus, World Eaters, Death Guard, Emperor's Children, Word Bearers, Iron Roars, and Night Lords. All those legions versus 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty overwhelming odds. Horus could not have planned this better. It's I bet he was just dancing with glee when he sees who's actually there. All his things are coming to fruition.
Yeah.
So
big battle happens.
Do we want to talk about the Emperor's Secret Project? I feel like it.
I think we're going to save it for our
we'll save it for our Tales from the Warp.
Tales from the Warp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the Emperor is on Terra.
Yeah, so while all this is happening, the Emperor...
is on Terra.
Yes, and he's not taken to the battlefield because he's still working on his project, even with the enemy right at his doorstep.
Yeah. If anything,
dedication.
He just feels a sense of urgency. He has to
get the project finished. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to bite this apple.
I'll bite it.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool things that happen.
Take the bite, Mark.
That
wasn't the weirdest thing I've done today, though. So that's fine.
Who's rubbing my leg? Why is this happening?
Hand check, everyone. Hand check.
It was Jordan. Yeah. Think of a siege warfare.
It doesn't last long, does it?
It doesn't. No. The Horus Heresy only lasts 7 years.
No, but I mean this battle.
I know. I think it only lasts 6 months, and they're able to work their way in to the inner palace. Basically, they're on their last wall.
Keep in mind the Imperial Palace is the size of a continent.
Yeah. Keep in mind
it's big. It's huge.
Yeah,
that is worth noting.
Yeah. People are made heroes. Sanguinius holds a gate for days by himself. Breaks the back of a bloodthirster demon. There's a bunch of sweet stuff that happens.
Poor Sanguinius.
Sweet Sanguinius.
He'll never know another day in flight.
Whoa, what happened?
Spoilers.
What happened to him?
Nothing. He's fine? I don't know.
So, they're getting down to the last bit of the siege.
Yeah.
But at this point, Horus gets
he's
messages.
Powerful too.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, apparently he goes to Moloch and makes the same pact with the Chaos
He
Gods.
steps through the gate?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
As
And
the
he
Emperor.
Yeah, and makes the same deal as the Emperor did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That explains he gets hyped up on chaos steroids.
Good old chaos steroids.
We've all been there. Everyone loves a little bit of the warp dust.
But yeah, so Horus gets messages from his outlying fleets that the Ultramarines are almost at Terra.
Yeah.
Lionel Johnson's almost at Terra, and Russ is almost at Terra.
Right.
So at this point, he's we can't
dawdle anymore.
We can't fight on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
And he decides to do a gambit.
Yeah. So what he does is he sends a message to the Emperor. He lowers his shields and is like, "Come and get me."
Yeah.
Right.
Let's finish this between
One
me
on
and
one,
you.
right? Mano
Like
a mano.
Really, that's the only way it can end. Like,
Yeah, a regular Marine is never going to stand a chance against the
yeah,
Emperor.
or even like if like Magnus, I don't know why I'm thinking him, but let's just say Magnus killed the Emperor. Like, it wouldn't be the same as if Horus did it. Then Horus would have to kill Magnus. Like, you know, like it would create another problem. Like, Horus has to kill the Emperor.
Right.
And even Horus might not even think anyone else can. Maybe Horus is the only one
that's true.
who's powerful enough, and he's like, "I'm the only one that can do it. Let's go," right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what it comes down to. So he sends a message, he lowers his shields.
And the Emperor gathers up a small force, including Sanguinius,
Rogel
Dorn. I don't believe Jagdai can.
No, he doesn't. He's off doing his own things, which I can't wait to talk about.
So the Emperor and his 2 Primarchs and a small bodyguard crew of other, high-ranking Space Marines and bodyguards. I believe he brings up some Custodes.
Yeah, he brings up some Custodes
and they teleport themselves onto Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, where Horus where the Emperor is going to have his showdown with Horus. But what happens when they get teleported is they get scattered all around the ship.
Do we want to talk about how that happens? Teleportation is basically like going through the warp. It's basically like using a warp drive, but very, very
On a personal level.
On a personal level. So when they teleport onto the ship, they're going through the warp, and that's how they become separated.
Because the warp is all messed up right now.
Yeah. So it scatters them all around the ship, so they're all separated, and the Emperor doesn't have his like elite bodyguard force around him. And the Emperor isn't even the first one to make contact with Horus.
Yeah, the first one to make it to Horus's throne room is Sanguinius.
And Sanguinius and Horus, I don't know if you touched on this, were actually very good friends.
Yeah.
Before the heresy.
Yeah.
And so Sanguinius even tries to negotiate with Horus even now. Like
I still think you can be saved.
Yeah.
And
so he lets his guard down a little bit and tries to sway Horus to stop what he's doing, right?
Yeah. But at this point, Horus is full on tentacle
way
beast.
too late.
Yeah.
Not really tentacle beast, but he's
in his
full
brain.
on.
He's full on tentacle beast.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's given up.
Yeah. And Horus ends up slaying Sanguinius.
Yeah.
Forever. Games Workshop, if you're listening, Sanguinius
Do not resurrect him.
Dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
No more.
Doesn't the Emperor walk in right
So
when...
here's an interesting part that's in flux right now currently in the lore.
With
Olonius Pius or Olnius Pius.
Yeah.
Some stories have him as just a regular human. Others have had him as like a custodian guard or a Terminator bodyguard of the Emperor's.
Yeah.
So either way, there's a smaller mortal figure who's also present, who walks into the throne room when the Emperor arrives and sees Horus just annihilate this guy. This story is likely going to change because it's a big part in the novels right now.
Yeah.
And there's something leading up to it. I can't touch on it right now because it's not finished yet.
Yeah.
But
and for all we know, everything we just talked about could change.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when they write the Siege of Terra story.
That's how they're going to re-resurrect Sanguinius.
It was actually...
No. Sanguinius didn't go up to the planet. He was at the gate fighting. Jagdai Khan went up to the ship and he got killed.
He got killed.
Sorry, White Scars, but...
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll leave it there for that.
Sorry, so what does Olinius have to do with anything?
Oh.
So the Emperor goes in and sees this guy, whatever form he takes at this point, and sees the Emperor. He sees Sanguinius' body at the foot of Horus.
Right.
And he sees a single, let's call him just a regular human for now, standing up to Horus.
Oh.
And refusing to back down.
Okay.
And the Emperor sees, like, a common man taking on, like, odds way above him. Absolutely. Yeah. And Horus annihilates him.
Yeah. Not even, like, a simple, like, bolt pistol to the face. Like, he just shreds him molecule by molecule. Like, he just...
Yeah, just annihilates.
Just done.
And to the Emperor, that shows how far Horus has fallen, right? And how brave,
Which is an interesting point to me, because the Emperor is not sentimental, nor is he considered particularly benevolent to the individual subject.
Well, and that's
to humanity as a whole, he loves.
Yeah.
And he does everything in his power to secure their their leadership and domination.
Yeah, and that's where kind of Games Workshop is taking it, where once it was like, yeah, the Primarchs are his children, they call him father, he calls him son, where now it's the Emperor treats him as tools. And so it's going to be neat to see how this final battle actually plays out.
Gotcha.
But at this point, then, you have the Emperor and Horus all left in the room.
Yeah.
Facing each other off. And
if you want the battle,
here it is.
Read the book.
yeah.
Well, it's not
there's
wait for the book.
There was a small excerpt written before, like an old lore.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be turned into its own novel. But essentially, the Emperor and Horus duel on the bridge of the Vengeful Spirit overlooking Terra. And this duel, like, is fought physically, it's fought psychically, it's fought, like,
emotionally.
I was going to say that, too.
On multiple planes, right? Like, this is the duel that will decide the fate of the galaxy, right? And both of them are going at it. Debatably, no holds.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Everything they
Sorry,
have.
I just...
Yeah, so during the battle, Horus gets his blows in. And at this point, he's roided out on chaos steroids.
Yeah.
And actually manages to wound the Emperor repeatedly. He, takes off an arm, like, blows out one of his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like, and they're destroying each other, right?
Yeah.
Like, blow by blow. And the Emperor striking back and damaging Horus, right? And then at the very end...
Okay,
Okay, so Omnius Pious... No, the Omnius Pious thing happens now.
Yeah.
So...
It's the chink in the armor, isn't it?
No, so, like, they kind of... Horus and the Emperor take a brief moment to recover. Like, they're both, like, ripped apart. But at this point, the Emperor still has hope. Like,
maybe
he's still
Horus
my
can turn.
son. Like, he might have, even at this moment, been like, it's not too late, Horus.
Yeah.
Like, join me again. Like
he's almost
we can rule the
fighting
galaxy as
reservedly.
father
Yeah, and there's
son.
almost there's a debate whether the Emperor was going full force on Horus or holding back.
Yeah.
And just keeping up enough of a
Just with
defense
his hope.
just to try and talk him down.
Yeah, and then this is when Olia Pilus...
It'd be nice if we could say his name.
Omnius Pious.
Opaluplu.
Enters the room. And from our perspective now, he's just a human.
Yeah.
And Horus destroys him.
Right.
Yeah.
Completely.
And this is the Emperor's turning point where it's like, Horus is past redemption.
Yeah. And so...
You kill one human, and all of a
you're-
sudden your daddy doesn't love you anymore.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, right, Horus hasn't killed anyone. He's just been manipulating people.
Right,
He's just
right.
sitting in his
Oh,
eyes.
he's killed
smooth-
people.
He's just a smooth talker, guys.
Yeah, he's just been a good guy.
Horus, a bad guy? No.
So the Emperor saying this is like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to end this fight. And he summons all his psychic energy and destroys Horus's soul. Like, there's nothing left of Horus.
Yeah.
So when you die, sometimes your soul will go to the warp.
Well, every time.
Every time. If you're connected to
Barring
the warp.
extenuous circumstances, when you die, your soul goes to the warp.
Yeah.
We covered that way back in episode
Exactly.
1. Yeah.
But at this point,
I was there for that.
Horus is completely
Shut up,
destroyed
Mark.
from existence.
Yeah.
There's nothing left
Yeah.
of him.
You can burn a soul.
Yeah. And that's exactly what the Emperor does. And just, Horus no longer exists.
Yeah.
Wiped from existence.
Which is sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that, though, and from all the wounds he suffered from the duel, the Emperor is severely wounded and is left on the bridge.
Basically left for dead.
Yeah.
And then this is where Rogaldorn finally makes it to the bridge and finds him.
Yeah. So I think, like, let's play up the severity of his wounds. Like, he's not left for dead, he's dying.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, he is in the process of dying right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're wounds from, like, chaos and everything.
Yeah, they're
like,
psychic wounds. They're physical wounds.
Yeah.
He's wounded on every level.
Yeah.
Too much to heal?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
For the Emperor, I guess, because...
Yeah, for someone...
Otherwise, he would have healed.
For someone who has spent the past 38,000 years...
Wait, oh.
Leading humanity.
Since his birth, yeah.
Since his birth.
Yeah.
38,000 years. You know, like, he can't handle this. This is the card that the Chaos Gods wanted to play. They wanted to play the I remove the Emperor from the game card. Little did they know that the Emperor had a trump card. Not really a trump card, but more of like a get out of jail free card, but still keep me quarter in jail.
I think this would be a good spot to kind of jump into our Tales of the Warp.
Okay. There's one more thing I want to say then, before we start our little discussion area, and that is, after this, the Traitor Legions flee.
Yeah. They flee back to the Eye of Terror.
Yes, so that's like where chaos meets reality.
Yeah.
So at the end of it all, eventually they lose. Horus dies. The Emperor is still alive, dying, but he's alive.
Yeah.
And they realize we didn't strike quite the blow we wanted, but it was almost there. But they all flee back to the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, yes. Let's save that part. But okay, sure.
There's a reason.
I'm like wrestling with this in my brain right now. It shouldn't be a hard decision. We'll save it.
Yeah.
Okay. But at this point, like that marks the end of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
It marks the end of like the Great Crusade.
All things that are good.
Yeah. Everything that was okay and bright and unicorn with the world is now
over.
Grim and dark and
perfect. Just the way
only
we
war.
love it.
Only war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess without further ado, let's get into our tales from the warp. So let's talk about some speculation or discussion specifically about the Emperor himself.
Yeah, some of this is going to be fact. Some of it's going to be our own idea.
A lot of it is going to be batshit insane. And it's all going to come from Christian.
I have some theories.
Biggest heretic of them all. Now, let's get into a little bit of fact before we step into the fiction.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the Emperor's Secret Project.
Yeah, so this is why the Emperor
steps
left
away.
the Great Crusade.
So when he steps away from the Great Crusade, he names Horus the War Master. Horus takes over... What? Don't give... Mark. So he names Horus the War Master. Horus is responsible for like all the day-to-day decisions of the campaign.
Yeah.
He tells who to go where and what's going to happen and everything.
Yeah.
So he really just sets Horus up with the ability to do the heresy. So, but when he leaves, he goes back to Terra and he starts a secret project, which is connecting webways.
Yeah, so there is a webway portal on Terra.
Yeah.
And the Emperor knows this. The Emperor, his main thing is to basically stop the Chaos Gods. Like, to do away with them. To do away with warp travel and stuff. And one way to do away with warp travel is the webway.
The webway, yeah.
So he's trying to make a stable entrance to the webway on Terra. And then from there you can branch out throughout the entire galaxy with the webway.
And if he has enough knowledge, he can even start to repair the sections of webway that are broken.
Exactly.
Start mapping it.
And the thing that made the Eldar so dangerous was the webway. Like, they can go anywhere they want instantly. And, well, not instantly, but...
way faster than the
way
warp.
faster,
and
way safer.
way safer.
So if humanity had this, they'd be set.
Yeah.
He's conquered... Well, he hasn't conquered the galaxy when he started the project, but... That's his goal. It's like, yeah, once I conquer the galaxy, then I can get anywhere I need to be.
Yeah.
I can put armies exactly where they need to be if there's an orc invasion, and yeah. So his secret project is the Webway Project. Why do you think he kept it a secret? I think I know why. Any thoughts?
Okay, well, I think there's... You're keeping it a secret. You're keeping it a secret from someone.
Yeah.
Number one... I think it would be a huge blow to the Astronomicon. The Astral Paths. Isn't there a whole school where like a bunch of Astral Paths like come and they learn?
Yeah, they're powerful families on Terra.
Right. So if all of a sudden you don't need those people anymore to navigate through the warp, they lose a lot of their power. But I think that is very minor because I'm working my way up.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So there's political reasons why he wouldn't want people knowing that he's working on a way to dispense of their usefulness.
I guess because if he's like, yeah, I'm going to get in the webway, then they're like, well, you're not getting anywhere now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
they can withhold warp travel.
Yeah, it's a potential one.
Sure. Okay, sure.
Another one could be the more people that are involved in something, the higher chances there are of... I don't know, failure, sabotage.
Yeah.
He has enemies.
Yeah. So, like, what if, like, he's keeping a secret from the Eldar, even? Like, the Eldar use the webway. Yeah. I'm sure the Eldar do not want the Emperor to use the webway. So, like, he keeps it a secret. Because, like, news gets down, and news could eventually reach an Eldar, potentially.
Sure. I mean, the Farseers see into the future.
Yeah, and then from there, maybe the Eldar would, like, mass up and... lay siege to Terra through that webway portal. It's possible.
Right. Yeah, if they knew that a gate was forming on Terra or that he's like making an entrance to the webway on Terra, then they would want to stop that with everything they could.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy idea. What if he was keeping it a secret even from the Chaos Gods?
I think to me that would be the biggest one.
Yeah. So the Chaos Gods obviously have dominance in the warp, and knowing that the Emperor is trying to find a way around them where, he can protect humanity from their influence forever, would completely turn all the Chaos Gods' focus right onto him, right onto his project.
Yeah. And then they could try to wreck it and so on and so forth.
I kind of have like a little bit of a gripe about that with the webways.
Do share.
Because, so when the webways were originally formed, and for millions of years after that, the Chaos Gods didn't exist. Because the Chaos Gods existed in the early stages of humanity.
Yeah.
So the entire war in heaven and galactic supremacy of the Eldar, we had the webways.
Yeah.
Now there's always energy and like enemies in the warp.
Yeah, they were still warp
but
entities.
it's nothing cohesive.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing with the same power as the
Chaos
Chaos Gods.
God.
But
Yeah.
I truly believe, like, if a Chaos God bent his will to it, like, he could destroy the webways.
Potentially, or at least damage it.
Which there are sections of the
Severely.
webway that are damaged.
Right.
Right. Demon
Like,
infestations.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like, is that a demon being a demon, or is that like Slanesh saying, "I am stopping the webway portal"? So I think like they are safer. They were much safer back when Chaos Gods as a unit didn't exist, because I don't think there was any other unit that was actually large enough to bring their power to bear to destroy the webways. So I think like. The webways is definitely the safest way to go, but it's still not a surefire bet until chaos is taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest thing here is that for me, it's like, did the Emperor know something shady was going down? And he was like, I need to start something that will give my people the edge over something.
Now, are you talking something shady going down as in the Horus Heresy?
Yes.
Did he know that Horus would betray him?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The jury can be out on that one.
Yeah, it could go either way.
So-
Did he set it all up in order to make himself a god? Maybe.
Yeah. The thing I read about it is that, and this actually had to do with the founding of the Inquisition, when I was reading it, is that there were so many warp storms happening, the Emperor actually lost his foresight.
Yeah.
However temporarily, whatever small window, and you better believe, like, that's chaos organizing it against him.
Yeah.
Because he could see into the future.
Yeah.
Right? He had the powers of foresight. Maybe not super crazy, but...
Yeah, maybe not to exact details.
Right, but he could.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he'd be able to pick and choose the shape that he kinds of wants it to
Yeah.
happen. So, I do know that with the four warp storms, he lost some of that. I think my guess is that he knew something was coming, but he didn't know what shape it was going to take. Because there's a difference between knowing that chaos is forming a weapon against you, and then understanding that the weapon is your son.
Or the question is, someone's going to betray you, but the question is who.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? For all he knows, it could have been Rogel Dorn. It could have been...
Whoa. How dare you?
He is the Dorniest.
Dornian
of Rogels.
Heresy.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think he knew
Heresy.
that Horus was going to betray him, but he knew something was coming. I mean, it's why, like, he sets up the Inquisition, right? He sets up the Inquisition.
He does not personally.
That's why he tells Malcador to
I don't even know if he did that.
Yeah, he did.
Did he tell him?
Yeah.
He told Malcador to collect these individuals, and Malcador puts them on Titan.
Okay, you're
right, and sends Titan into the warp.
Yeah.
Sweetest story ever. But and that happens during the heresy, like during the years of the heresy, when the Emperor has lost his foresight, because he's like, I can't see what's happening right now. Like,
So he's prepping like a
backup
plan.
So he sets up this. He tells Malcador to set up the Inquisition. Malcador throws Titan into the warp for 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden now he's like, okay, something's coming. Prepare for access, because in a war, everything that saves you is access. It used to be waterways. Then it was railroads. Then it was actual roads. Now it's airplanes. Then it's the warp. Now it's the webways.
Yeah.
Right. The number one way to win a war is positioning troops and supplies.
Yeah.
He knows. So he sets, I'm going to get my guys ahead of the other guys, because no one uses the webway except for the Eldar. Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that he saw something was coming.
Yeah, he just didn't know what.
He just didn't know what direction it was coming from.
Okay. Yeah. Any other thoughts on why he kept it secret?
I don't really have any.
So now
Maybe he's just a secretive fucking guy.
he didn't have a reason.
He doesn't
He's like
share.
keeping secrets.
Yeah, he just doesn't share with anyone.
he just forgot.
He's like,
I meant to mention it.
John, you didn't send that memo out.
You're fired.
Fired. And then he just disintegrates him.
Oh my.
He's the emperor.
So now let's talk about the wrench that was thrown into the Emperor's plan, which is Magnus.
Ah, yes. Magnus, when he sends his warning to the Emperor.
Yeah. So we talked about this where Magnus discovers the heresy that's happening in Horus
On
Davin.
Yeah.
And then he psychically projects himself to the Emperor. But in order to do this, Magnus has to break through the psychic barrier that's like protecting the Imperial Palace, that's holding the webway together.
Holding the webway together?
It's holding the entrance open on Terra.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So he breaks all the safety wards and things that are preventing chaos from spilling into this connection port, right?
Yeah, because so the portal, he's trying to make a portal into the webway, or there's already a portal, but he's trying to open it. But in order to do that, he kind of has to go through the warp, I guess, to get to the webway. But he has all these wards now, so he doesn't have to actually go through the warp to the webway.
Right.
But then when Magnus comes, he breaks all those wards, so now it's just...
Because Magnus is coming through the warp.
Yeah, so exactly. So now it's just warp.
Yeah.
So he does this, he breaks through, and demons start flooding into the Imperial Palace.
Yeah. Which is all happening underground.
Yeah, and not only into the Imperial Palace, also into the webway. And that's what kind of gives me the idea where it's like the three parts. There's the materium, there's the warp, and then there's the webway. And he's trying to use the warp to get to the webway, or however that works. Because the demons are able to go on both sides, go into the webway, and go into the Imperial Palace.
Because it is described as there are cracks in the webway that demons pour into.
Yeah.
Right.
So imagine the ocean.
Oh my
And there's a tunnel, and there's a crack in the tunnel.
Yes. What happens to this tunnel?
So when the tunnel is cracked, you have water spilling into the tunnel.
And the water is...
Demons.
Ah!
The water is demons.
Oh my god, this is the best analogy.
It's just like our
I had
ocean
to.
and shores analogy.
Exactly. There's no escaping
you're
it.
You
getting
make
it.
me cry. No. To the layman.
So that sets Magnus on the path, and that also breaks the Emperor's plan. And he basically has to seal off this webway portal, because there's no way now to stop the demons
The
from
flow of demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does not like that.
He's pretty pissed. Because
Yeah.
that was his ace in the hole.
Yeah.
In what I like.
That was his grand plan, his grand vision for the future of the Imperium, to no longer rely on warp travel.
Yeah. Do you think he'd been planning that for a while?
I'd say so, yeah.
From the very start, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it, like, you're talking about all the efficiency and stuff of, like, traversing the galaxy and moving troops and stuff, but even, like, after the Empire is established, to have safe routes for, like, supplies, for, you know, regular day-to-day movement,
Yeah.
And,
it's huge.
And we've kind of briefly mentioned this too, like, what if the Emperor is like his first attempt at conquering the galaxy was like the Dark Age of technology, right?
Right.
But then the warp storms happened, threw everything into disorder. So now the Emperor is like,
Yeah.
I need
a different way.
I need a different way where the warp cannot affect us.
Sure. And that would kind of change it, because it's completely possible that using his foresight, he saw that would be a way that worked.
Yeah.
And then the warp throws everything
Yeah.
into disarray.
Yeah.
Right? So the
And
same thing
then-
that happened here, he saw that his current plan was working,
Yeah.
and the warp, bam, tries
Yeah.
to stop him again.
Yeah. And then maybe too, during the birth of Slaanesh, a crack in the webway happened on Terra. And then that's when the Emperor like took notice of it, and that's why he didn't start with like the Webway secret project, because maybe something happened.
Yeah.
Or he learned of it later on.
Exactly. However that might have happened, I can't say.
Yeah. I would almost think that he's constructing the portal, and this, like, he's opening a hole into the webway. Because that would be my better understanding of it, because if the portal is already there, there's no reason to have to like be protective about it. Eldar use it all the time.
There's a short story about it, and I haven't gotten all the way through it, so I can't speculate too much.
Christian,
but
it's only a short story.
I'm a slow reader. So apparently there's an Eldar city on the other side
Oh yeah,
of this portal.
Yeah.
And it's being investigated by, like, the Emperor. This project is super secret and stuff, but he still has, like, his closest bodyguards, the Custodes, and the Sisters of Silence, that are actually sending, like, groups into the into the webway on the Terran side to investigate what exactly is on the other side of this. And again, I haven't gotten all the way through it, so I can't speculate too much in that department. But all I know is that there's a city on the other side of it.
Yeah, I recall that.
I think I have heard that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll leave that there, I guess, and see where that develops.
So one of the key features in his project is called the Golden Throne in the Emperor's project to access the webway. And it's a golden throne. Why do they call it that? Like, did they... Like,
isn't it a throne and it's gold?
Well, yeah, I know, but like it's just like that's.
Do you want it to be more profound?
No. It's just like it's not like
the seat of knowledge.
That's not its purpose. Like, he's not sitting there like ruling the empire from that throne. Like, that the Golden Throne is his way to access the webway, right? Like, so it's weird that they would.
It's more than that.
It is more than
It's
that.
also part of the astronomy.
I thought initially.
Yeah.
I don't think initially that was his way to access the webway. I thought that was more.
No,
Yeah,
he sits on it and he. Yeah.
So does that mean only he can access the webway?
So here's the thing. Incredibly powerful psychers can use it, and I'm talking like top 3 in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Can I do a spoiler for Malkador there?
Yeah.
So when the Emperor goes to fight Horus, someone has to occupy a spot on the throne.
Because demons are constantly pouring into the Imperial Palace
Since
if no
Magnus
one's
broke the seal.
if no one's on the throne.
So
doesn't it like wreck him?
yeah, so it kills Malkador. And Malkador is again like top 3 psychers
That's my
in
boy.
the entire universe.
Yeah.
And he disintegrates.
Yeah.
He holds it for a while. Long enough that he has to, but he physically disintegrates.
All I'm saying is the Webway Throne should have been called that instead of the Golden Throne. Like, why did they make it golden? Call it the Golden Throne.
It's also part of the Astronomicon, though.
That's what I thought its primary function was.
No.
Was to power the Astronomicon.
Because remember that one story
when he's alive, he can do it from wherever he is.
Yeah, like the Council of Nicaea, he shoots that beam up or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think if anything, it was converted into the Astronomicon
battery pack. Yeah.
Battery pack once the Emperor was interred upon it.
So the Golden Throne,
we should almost dive into that.
Yeah, let's talk about that now.
So all the Golden Throne was for initially was like the key to the webway, and you had to sit on it to access. So he would sit on it, open the portal, people could pass through, and then he could stop it.
Yeah, and the wards would keep it all safe then.
Right. Okay. Once after he was mortally wounded and he's dying, they transfer his body onto the Golden Throne, and then they make some modifications to it.
They turn it into a life support system.
Right.
Yeah.
As well
and at this point, they probably tied the Astronomicon into it and stuff like that.
Yeah. So life support system because he's dying and he has to be kept alive.
Yeah.
And then the Astronomicon is the beacon, the lighthouse beacon in the warp that
keeps ships from crashing into the shore
of the warp. Yes.
Yeah. So it's what allows ships to navigate the warp somewhat safely.
Yeah. And then the third function.
It's more just a position. Like, it doesn't help them navigate. It's more just to give a position in.
This is where I want to argue semantics with you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Sure. Sorry, I don't want to start anything.
Oh, I'm gonna start some shit.
Oh boy.
What were you going to say, Christian? The third function?
The third function, too, is, again, with that portal. So this part is also speculation, so it's a good place for it. But whether or not demons are still, like, to this day, pouring in to Terra and being held back by either the Emperor...
There's a story where there's...
And the Custodes fighting them off.
I told you about that one story because I thought it was awesome, but it was a fan story. Like, it was a theory. It's not actually...
So it's speculation. Like,
gosh darn it, because that was a cool story.
Because people are like... Oh, the Custodes have just been...
sitting on Terra doing nothing.
But it's like, no, they've been fighting this 10,000-year war in the underground of Terra, fighting off demons.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, the Emperor's back on the throne, the portal's been closed.
And he's keeping it closed.
Demons are no longer pouring in. Just like...
But it's open to debate, I mean...
I suppose it kind of is, but not really.
The only reason it is open to debate is because that room is secret.
Yeah.
That's right? Like, no one goes in there.
The whole point of putting Malkador onto the throne was to keep the demons from pouring in.
Yeah.
So, like, you would assume that if he can do it, then demons are no longer pouring in.
Right.
Like, that they have been effectively stopped.
The only reason it is up for debate, though, is
because
his current state of health.
Sure.
Critical condition
and
for
failing
10,000 years.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that then.
Okay.
The Emperor is on the throne, and he has been for the past 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And technology fails eventually.
Well, machines are fickle.
Machines are fickle.
Machines.
So why does the Emperor not just reach down, touch the knee of the Golden Throne,
Its wounded joint, and heal it?
No, but what will happen if the Golden Throne stops working? To me, the biggest thing right off the bat would be demons start pouring into the Imperial Palace, and the light of the Astronomicon goes out.
Right.
But beyond that, those are obvious. What
beyond
happens?
the immediate ones.
Yeah.
Well, the consequence of that is the complete breakdown of the hierarchy of the Terran nobility and like the bureaucracy, because everything is on Terra.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden Terra goes dark, as it says, like through the Astronomicon and demons pouring through, everything breaks down, right?
And stuff like Reboot Gilliman's Imperial Secundus happens, where it's like, where'd the Astronomicon go? Mm-hmm. Let's fend for ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Well, really,
pocket empires.
It would throw. It would throw the Imperium back into an age of strife.
Yeah, it would collapse.
Yeah. So that also is pretty obvious, really, when you start to look at it. Like,
when you look at like break by break, what happens through the steps, like there will be pocket empires. Terra will fall, and it'll be irrevocable this time. Chaos won't let it get back on its feet.
Yeah. What happens, though,
here's the bigger question.
To the Emperor.
Right.
Because when you die, you go into the warp. So...
I'm trying to collect my thoughts on this. Okay. Way back when the Emperor was born, created, whatever, it was a collective of shamans who made a suicide pact, killed themselves, they coalesced their spirits in the right now very calm warp. Yeah. Right? Easy to manipulate for someone who's been doing it for hundreds of years. Because they would reincarnate. Right? Yeah. So they have some serious knowledge of how to manipulate orc. Nothing near old ones. They're not creating webways. But they understand some small part. Yeah. So they coalesce themselves. They create this God Emperor. This God Emperor then has all their power. Then he goes to Moloch. Yeah. Then he gets chaos knowledge. This guy is a beast. Okay? Mm-hmm. No single orc would ever be able to take him down.
Do you finally concede to that point?
Yeah, that one's difficult to argue.
Yes.
So, if he dies, like right now, I feel like he's in a state of limbo. Yeah. Like everything that he is holding chaos at bay on the webway and guiding the astronaut.
I guess we should mention too, like the Emperor is in a coma basically.
Yeah, he's comatose.
Like he cannot talk. He's not giving. Well, apparently.
No, he can't physically.
Well,
he cannot.
Oh, I guess physically, yeah.
Yeah, he's not verbalizing.
No, his body, if anything, is decaying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's pictures.
Yeah, it's sweet. He's like mummified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd mention
he still exists psychically. He has to, or else the Astronomicon and the holding back of the webway would never work.
Exactly.
So he can still power things through his psychic power, but he is severely reduced. Like his body, like if it was anyone else, the body would just die. Yeah. So through it's like I've seen in multiple places, is through his sheer force of will and psychic power is he still holding on to life. Yeah. Yeah. And the sacrifice of millions of psychers daily, but that's fine. So
Semantics. So, I got a crazy theory about that.
I'm going to finish my thought.
You finish yours. Okay. I got to write mine down.
So, if the Emperor dies, his entire soul, in its entirety, and his soul, like, might have been damaged, but energies can be regrouped and reworked. Like, he pulls from the warp every day for energy. And all these psychers, they feed him, he's growing, but it's not enough for him because he's so powerful. It's like a cavern. His body is a cavern, and he needs so much psychic energy to fill it, and he just can't grab enough anymore. So he's in like a state of no power. If he dies, and he does go to the warp, the logical next step is that he's reborn. And the only reason I think he will not ever be reborn that way is because Chaos will not let that happen.
Yeah, where when the shamans did it, it was easy.
Yeah, there's no chaos. Yeah. Like, there's still going to be those beasts, but they are divided. Yeah. Right? And this is why I don't think he could ever get something... Mark and I were just talking about this a little while ago, and it's that the Emperor was the master of the material universe. Yeah. And then the Chaos gods are the masters of the immaterium. Yeah. Whatever if the Emperor decides to have something done in the Materium, Chaos can't truly oppose him.
Yeah, he'll get it done.
Yeah, and if Chaos decides to do something in the Immaterium, in the Warp, the Emperor can't truly oppose them. The Emperor couldn't stop the Warp Storms, right?
Exactly. Like, when you enter somebody else's domain, doesn't matter how powerful you are in your domain, you're on a different playing field now.
Yeah. As of this point, Mayweather and McGregor haven't fought. But
when you're in someone else's domain.
I'd like to draw the comparison
Yeah.
that McGregor is going into the boxing ring.
Exactly.
So...
And if you flip it,
yeah, oh
like
my
then
gosh.
if they go into the wrestling or the MMA ring or whatever, it's going to be a different story again.
Right, and that's the parallel we're trying to draw here, is that it depends on whose house you're stepping into.
Yeah.
So I really like... I love I think he would reincarnate if it was up to him. Like, because he just has a desire, and I don't think he's benevolent or like gracious or anything, but he just has a desire to see humanity succeed.
Yeah.
For some reason. I mean, I really think it's a leftover, it's a remnant of what the shamans left in him.
Exactly. Like, that was his purpose.
Right, and we talked previously
humanity.
about purpose and like what it is to these beings.
Yeah.
So I really think he would if he could, but I don't think Chaos would ever let it happen.
So what if, like, he becomes, like, quote-unquote a chaos god?
Yeah.
Like, he stays in the warp, he, from there, starts to collect energy, starts to make, like, his own, like...
Good demons.
Sure, yeah. Well, we talked about the Pantheon and how that is potentially a thing. The Eldar Pantheon.
Yeah.
Potentially there's splits from the Chaos God in, like, good things, so...
But he wouldn't be a split. But I know what you're saying, sorry. Yeah.
So we're saying it is possible.
Yeah.
I don't... You'd have to do away with the Imperial Truth. You would have to completely do away with it because...
That's already been done, though.
Yeah. So the Emperor's either been willfully lying or hiding the fact that the Chaos Gods exist.
I think it's more just safety through ignorance.
But either way, it's intentional. Like, we know now that the gods exist, and that it's been a secret that was kept from all humanity.
Yeah.
So... Like, is it lawful right now to worship him as a god?
It would be unlawful not to.
So if Roboot sees a church of the Emperor...
He will get executed.
He's going and worshiping the Emperor? That is more my question. Because
he's one of the only few
Roboot is the Star Child.
Whoa.
What?
That came out wrong.
Very wrong.
Roboot is the cookie cutter of what the Imperial citizen should be.
Yeah.
So
from back in the day,
if he's not worshiping... Oh, it doesn't, like... It doesn't matter, because what the Emperor decrees is what goes.
So there is a conversation between Roboot Guilliman and, like, a high-up leader of the Ecclesiarchy, and I don't think they actually say what happens, like they don't give actual sentences, but it happens in the Dark Imperium book, and basically the outcome is, like, he tells, like, the Ecclesiarch, like, I'm not going to worship the Emperor. He wasn't a god. Like, there's lots of Space Marine chapters that don't believe he's a god.
Yeah.
But Roboot, like, sees it as, like, a necessary thing to keep the Imperium intact.
But
he doesn't want to start a religious war on...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he allows it, but, like, they're...
Okay.
He doesn't believe.
And I get that, but,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't believe he's a god, so he sees it as a societal thing.
Yeah.
He's like, there's no reason to rip apart humanity
Exactly.
by claiming that it isn't God, so he's like,
Not
I'll
yet,
let
anyways.
it go.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And they kind of come to that understanding.
But he doesn't believe it's necessary for the Emperor's survival, which is that's the difference in beliefs. If you believe that he is a god, you need worship.
Yeah.
You need the power.
Yeah.
So if he truly is reborn as a god in chaos, then he needs to be worshipped fully. Jordan, you want a cookie? Is that what's going on?
I want a cookie too, please.
Yeah, I want a cookie.
Jordan's pointing on the floor.
Yeah, he's like miming for the cookies, like trying to be all silent. Mark and Kristen are just looking around the room.
I thought he was pointing at your wiener. Like, what?
Jordan, you can't have that.
You're talking about the Emperor and you can...
Not the first time tonight.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because you want him to be as powerful as possible.
Yeah.
So then you'd be
But that's if he dies, you want him to be as powerful as possible.
Well, it depends. This could be a whole orc situation where it doesn't matter where you are. If you believe it hard enough, it does exist. So because the Emperor kind of already exists in like a state of limbo and undeath. So if he's already part in the warp, which he is with the Astronomicon because he powers it, right? It is his presence, the Astronomicon.
Fun fact, maybe.
No, is that a yes or no?
Well, what if the Emperor is a god of unbelief? So, by people worshipping him, he's actually getting weaker. And that's why he had the whole imperial truth.
I don't think unbelief is like a thing, though.
No,
Negative energy?
Well, negative energy is.
Or
Yeah,
he's
that's
starving. Actually, it goes back to the imperial truth. Like, maybe he's starving the chaos gods. If you don't believe in the chaos gods, if you don't believe anything's out there, you're taking power away from them, away from your enemy.
Sure, yeah. And that's the thing. But if he is a god, and if he dies and actually goes into chaos, I don't think he'd be reincarnated, and I do think the Imperium would have to enforce worship of him.
They already do.
No, I mean, like, if you don't worship him as a god and you don't make your prayers like every day, we'll kill you.
Yeah, there is. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Like, because they need him to be powerful.
Yeah, they want
Right.
to keep feeding him energy.
Right. Yeah. Those are my 2 cents. I think I went a little long.
it's good.
Yeah.
You guys ready for my fun times?
I am.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so I like to think that the Emperor planned everything all along. He wanted to become a god. He knew that Horus was going to do like what he did. Like when you tell somebody not to do something, they want to do it. Like that's just human nature. When you tell somebody not to climb that tree, they want to climb that tree. So when the Emperor tells like, don't worship people.
That's your example.
When my mom tells me
Don't
don't
you
climb that tree,
I'm gonna fucking climb that tree.
I'm gonna fucking climb that tree.
I'm gonna climb it so good.
I'm gonna reach to the top and I'm gonna fall off and break my arm. How do you think of that?
Yeah, screw you, Mom. I can do it.
But yeah. So when he tells like the Imperium like do not worship anything, like he's kind of setting it up like
He's using reverse psychology.
exactly, as opposed to like if he's like worship me as a god. No one's gonna do that. Doesn't matter how good you are. Like, well, people will still do that, but like you get a bigger following if people think it's their own idea.
Right.
The whole Inception
if
thing.
If you set yourself up as it, there will always be that seed of doubt.
Exactly.
And the other parallel you see in that would be
Yeah.
Roboot not setting himself up as the leader of...
Well, yeah, exactly. Like
So
so.
even the guys that like don't believe in him are kind of useful idiots to his master plan. kind of.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's foreseen it all. And then people are like, well, why would he let it go so far? Why would he, like, inter himself on the Golden Throne? And then here's my thought. So, we talked about how Magnus can, like, psychically project himself across the entire galaxy. The Emperor can do that, too.
Sure.
The Emperor can also, like, possess humans. So now the Emperor is just going... Like, he's being fed by all this psychic energy of people believing that he's a god. He's just... doing whatever he wants to do. He's gonna go onto this one random planet, become a farmer, bang the farmer's wife. Then then he's gonna psychically project himself to a warfield and kill some guys. And then he just is going across the entire galaxy.
Have you ever heard of the Emperor's Champion?
Exactly. Like he wants to be a badass space marine. He does that. And then the twist is like.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, but what's powering the Astronomicon if he's all off into space? Have you ever heard of those 1,000 psychers a day?
The black ships.
They're powering the Astronomicon because the Emperor is no longer there. Exactly. So that's what I like to think happens. Yes, there are plot holes in that. Yes, it's...
This is almost like turning into the theology of the empire. Of the Emperor. Like he's actually like... everything is predetermined by him.
Yeah.
Destined.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. And there's actually a portion of that which is completely true. Because he is looking as far into the future as possible and trying to determine the best route for humanity.
But is he only doing it like based on like a predictable equation, or is he like can he actually see into the future in any...
I'd say a little bit of both.
I would say a little bit of...
Really?
With the warp?
Yeah.
Go for it.
With the warp, the closer it is to you, it's always going to be more predictable. Right? You can look into the warp and see exactly what's happening next to you.
And
you can't look at what's happening across the galaxy. It gets a lot muddier.
And when you're looking at the future,
Choices.
The Eldar do this a lot, where they're all kinds of possible futures, all playing out, and it's up to you to determine which is the right one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. On a little more of a serious note, Mark.
I was serious.
I
think
know-
that's...
I know.
I want to
That's
go bang the farmer's wife,
Biggest
okay?
load of heresy I've ever heard.
I love it.
When the Golden Throne fails, and they can no longer keep the Emperor alive, what happens?
What do I think happens, or what happens in my idea?
No. What do you think actually happens? Not what happens to the Emperor who's busy banging the farmer's wife.
Well, he no longer bangs the farmer's wife.
No!
What I think happens to the Emperor when he dies. Yeah, I think he obviously ends up in the warp, and then I think he would basically just be gobbled up by the other gods, like overpowered. He might put up a bit of a fight, but it goes back to that whole example. When you step in somebody else's domain, doesn't matter how powerful you are in yours, you're in their domain now. So I think he would basically get destroyed.
Is there any possibility that the Emperor has an even longer game in mind to not just conquer the material universe, but the immaterial universe?
That could be it. So, like, let's say now he does die,
Right.
and all these people are believing in him. Yeah, then maybe that would be enough power for him to not only
Become a contender.
to become a contender and actually wipe out the Chaos Gods once and for all.
Sure.
That could
'Cause
be
you'd have
almost
to go
interesting,
to,
actually.
You'd have to go to warp to do it.
Yeah,
you
and that's-
couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't do it from this realm.
Yeah, and that's how you actually end chaos once and for all.
From the inside out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a huge thing in here. So with Warhammer Fantasy,
Yay!
you could have a case where like all battles are hashed out in the warp now instead. So yeah, it's not a fight over the physical material world anymore. Suppose the Emperor dies, he truly transcends to godhood, and he's just like creating his own demons and fighting his own wars within the warp.
So Age of Sigmar is happening with
Age of Sigmar 40K, coming 2018.
Holy fudge.
How much warp dust did you sniff today, Christian?
More
That-
than what is healthy.
That's actually kind of a funny theory.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. Actually,
I mind it.
especially
I mind it on a matter of principle.
when you really think about it, like the wars in the warp, like if anything, they're fought with presence and power and like the weight you can throw around.
Yeah.
Because there's no real reason to exercise your power to create a reality when another god is just going to try and destroy your reality with their power.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like it'd be a constant balance and power struggle with them.
Yeah.
Because if your power comes from a source, you want that source to give power to you. So if the Emperor's source is the galaxy, it makes complete sense that he wants to rule the galaxy. So when he does it, the only person who's getting power is him.
Yeah.
Right? He sets these really strict rules and disciplines
Yeah.
to refuse power to Slanesh.
Yeah.
He sets in a very bureaucratical and aristocratical society to avoid any upheaval or change, or no
Yeah.
trickery is necessary from
The
the
only
layman.
constant
He's
in the
purposefully
yeah.
stagnating his
Right.
empire.
He's removing all kind of threats to the galaxy, so doesn't have to be any fighting.
Yeah.
Corn.
Death through boredom.
I think Jordan stumbled across quite a good idea
That's
there.
an interesting one.
Yeah, where,
so now eventually, when the only people capable of worshiping are his followers,
Yeah.
he goes to the warp.
Yeah.
He's powerful enough. They've been lessening in their amount of worship. He's just getting more powerful. He can strike a blow.
Yeah.
So the question is, how
well-
long can he hold on?
The other thing too, though, is before you get into that, is like, no matter what, the Chaos Gods are gunning for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if Horus is killed and whatnot, like the Chaos Gods are gonna try and figure out something else to
Yeah.
try and take him out. Right?
Yeah, they didn't just accept defeat and
Yeah.
call it at that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
they
like,
have been stagnated for 10,000 years. It's kind of been a balance right now between his power and all four of them. Also, they're not working in unity anymore.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
which is setting the stage for
Yeah,
for a strike.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah.
I suppose. Now we're all just pondering. Take a picture of us. We're all just stroking our facial hair.
It could be an interesting one,
Yeah.
actually. Okay, so then I'm going to pose the opposite question.
Okay.
Actually, Christian, do you have an answer if you want to say what happens if the Emperor
Yeah, what
dies?
is your idea?
I like to think that the Emperor would just cease, or the Empire would collapse, cease to exist, and
Well, we already know that.
And chaos would win.
Yeah.
And
what
yeah.
happens to the Emperor?
Yeah.
What happens to his soul when he dies?
I like to think he'd make an attempt to reincarnate,
Yeah.
and maybe he'd come back in a lesser form. like not as powerful. Maybe like chunks of him are, say, eaten up by the Chaos Gods,
Or he comes back in multiple forms.
broken up in as like fragments, perhaps.
Shards.
We've
of
seen
types.
Shards,
We've
one might
seen this
say.
before. The Emperor gets sharded,
Not the first time we've made that joke. All right.
and and then he would have to like rebuild himself from the ground up. So he's
It would really become Pokemon Wars then. Like, I choose the Emperor.
I
Throws out,
choose the Nightbringer.
yeah, and you have all
I
these.
I choose the
Kane.
Avatar. Yeah. Good times. Pokemon.
So you think he'd be able to escape the grips of the Chaos
Yeah, there's
Gods?
nothing that I've seen that indicates that he would be totally destroyed in the warp. I think he's powerful enough to escape that fate, and he would come back maybe like lesser than what he was, and have to like rebuild and like start from scratch, which is almost like a worse fate. Like,
Yeah.
you've already lived as long as the Emperor's lived, and you're starting back at ground zero.
Being less powerful too.
Yeah.
To boot.
So you're like,
So-
I got to do all of this again. It's going to take another 10, 20, 30,000 years.
Yeah, so it's almost like as like the other gods are trying to devour him, he like willingly gives up a portion of his energy in order to slip the rest of it away.
Yeah, and I do like to think. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fans, but I like to think in the grimmest, darkest version of 40k.
Ooh.
So what is the worst fate that would happen? If the Emperor dies, right? Chaos would win, right? And
In the immediate future.
in the immediate future, I'm gonna try and stay away from Alfarius' story because that's gonna be a whole thing. But there's a lot of that involved in the possible future if you allow Chaos to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Alpha Legion's pretty sweet when it comes to like backstabbing and trickery.
Whole story in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, Emperor is sharded, at least not himself. There's an interesting theory that is now, I know I like say this name a lot, the Sensei, like when I'm chatting with you guys. Now,
Yeah.
are they his sons? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think they're like
Yeah,
his.
so over the course of-
because he's banging farmers' wives.
Over the course
That's
of,
his end goal.
Over the course of the Empire's life, he lay with many women sexually.
Yeah.
So he's a guy. It doesn't really fit with like his whole aloofness, but whatever. There's a theory that
When you gotta get off, you gotta get off.
I think it's a little different when you're the God Emperor of mankind.
Yeah, that almost seems...
He's not gonna get
So
himself
base.
off.
That kind of seems beneath him.
Right.
Yeah.
That yeah.
No,
Yeah.
If anything,
in
he's
the current-
reproducing for the future.
Yeah.
But you'd
There's no
almost
love or
think-
attachment.
But you'd almost
It's
think
strictly
he'd just
clinical.
take his own genetic samples.
And create sons? Maybe 20 of them.
30,000 years ago, this technology didn't exist.
Right.
So back, say, like in our
yeah,
year,
yeah,
because he's alive in like the year 2000 AD
Right,
or
right.
whatever.
If you're listening to this, don't
If the
don't shoot us for
Emperor-
heresy.
We're so sorry. Please accept us into your fold. So he's laying with women and he's creating sons who get a portion of his power, and then they also kind of exist on the sidelines of history,
Yeah.
right? And so they exist.
is
in
all
whole time.
speculation.
Yeah, no, none of this is at all confirmed. But it was a cool theory to read about. In that, so now all this power that he had has actually already sharded. We need a different word. Split. His power has already split off from himself multiple times through all these children. So you have him on the throne, weaker than he once was, but you also have these potentially tens or hundreds or even thousands of descendants of his that are walking around, all carrying slivers of his power. Now, the same thing that happened very long ago, where the shaman all killed themselves, entered into a suicide pact, and the emperor is born. There's a theory that what happens if you gather all his children to him and sacrifice them all at one bit and feed their souls to him the same way that the psychers on the black ships are? What happens to all his power? Like, it's like a magnet, right? It would go right back to him. Would that be enough to get him to stand off the throne? So my question is, to all of you, what happens if the next day in 40k the emperor stands up?
Well, there probably would be no more ecclesiarchy. I don't think he would like that, but what did I say about worship?
You motherfuckers!
Yeah, probably just he would reunite all of the Imperium again. Like,
Who gets punished?
The Ecclesiarchy.
Yeah.
Actually, all the High Lords of Terra.
All the High Lords.
Yeah, some of them have been out for themselves the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So anyone that's held humanity back, even the Mechanicum, I'm sure you'd have some words with them.
Maybe.
Parts of it.
Parts of it. But, like, the Mechanicum's pretty well stayed true to what the Emperor wanted. Like, there were the rogue elements, but now they're dark Mechanicum, right? They didn't
stay with the Imperium.
They didn't really stay with the Imperium. But, yeah, really everyone's going to get their PP smacked, for sure. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Just accept it.
Is that what your mom did to you?
No, that's what construction workers always say. They like joke, like they make a gesture of their hand and like they make the gesture putting the wiener in the hand and they smack it when you get in trouble. Come here, you're gonna get your pee-pee smacked.
I don't know where you work, but I think you should report that to somebody.
I got my pee-pee smacked.
Yeah, I definitely think that like there's been like a degradation of the Empire right now. Like it has fallen.
It's gone like 180. Everything the Emperor said not to do.
Not entirely 180. Like it's not in the age of strife.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Okay, 150.
Sure, I'll accept the 150.
Yeah.
But so there's definitely been like a huge turnaround, and that has to change. But more like, what do you think? Like, because before he was on his Great Crusade, and then he was on his secret project. Do you think he still bothers with the webways?
I think he would. Yeah.
Pick up where he left off.
I almost wonder. So when he went into Moloch, that was when like everything changed for him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he was who he was, and he was guiding, he was learning, he was formulating his plans. But when he goes to Moloch is when things start picking up. And how long does he spend in the warp with the Chaos Gods? Who knows? Not very long.
Well, in the warp, it could be 10,000 years.
What happens now that he's been interred on the Golden Throne for actual 10,000 years and been learning about the warp, spending all his time in it, constantly fighting with these Chaos Gods? Like, I assume he comes out with a knowledge that previously was unthought of.
So he's a super Emperor.
That's almost what I think of. Like, if he ever, like, is able to step back up, it's on, like, he's now also unopposable in the warp.
Yeah. If ever I could say no to two things, the first one would be female Space Marines. But the next thing, if I was to say no to, like, Games Workshop never should do this, is get the Emperor up. Like, they're bringing Primarchs back now, which is cool, sure, but, like, if the Emperor comes back, to me, it's just like, oh, great.
It's game over.
Yeah, it's just like Great Crusade again. Like, to me, it's not that interesting, personally, I find. But, sorry, I'm not trying to derail your topic or nothing.
It's fine, because, like, for me, so for you, you're like, you kind of like the shape that the galaxy is in.
Yeah,
right
like,
now.
It's a neat place to exist. Not, like, to actually be there, but, like, it's a neat universe. Yeah. And to bring the Emperor back would literally just change the universe. And that's why I play 40k and not Horus Heresy 30k.
Right.
Because I like the 40k universe. I don't like it where, like, the Emperor's around doing his thing and, like,
Gotcha.
Final crazy theory on my part for the Emperor.
Okay.
What if he's already dead?
Tell me more.
So the Astronomicon is being powered by those constant sacrificial souls.
Yeah.
And his body is just sitting there decaying. And they tell everyone that the Emperor is still alive and that he's watching over them.
And that's why they need the souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's been dead all this time, and humanity is putting up a fight all on their own. Maybe they don't need the Emperor.
The only thing I do not like about that is the webway portal, that it's still closed. But like you said,
those souls that are being sacrificed.
But I don't know if that would keep a webway portal closed.
Well, we have no idea.
Yeah, what it takes.
But alternatively, the easy out is that the Custodes are fighting that 10,000-year war. The webway portal is like it's very easy to justify that. Yeah. That could actually be the case when the Emperor is dead.
It's really a courageous story of humanity putting up a fight for 10,000 years, just trying not to lose.
Yeah.
Right? Just on their own. Yeah. Alone in the universe.
Yeah, just kept together by
and that is the grimmest, darkest future.
He's been dead the whole time.
That is,
Well, if that were the case, then you almost wonder.
Then it sucks.
Yeah, like if that's the truth, and that's the truth, then he was ripped apart in the warp.
Yeah.
Right. If he died in 30K, then in 40K he's no more.
Yeah.
And the Chaos Gods have truly won.
I have one counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
About if this happens and the Emperor's actually dead and in
Yeah.
the warp, there's guys called the Legion of the Damned, and they're like Space Marine. They're a Space Marine
This
chapter.
is in 40K.
Yeah, and like they're essentially like demons. Like they come out of nowhere, they vanish into nothing, and at one point, in the Fall of Cadia, they're there, and then like there's a psychic barrier or something. I forget how it's worded, but they all vanish when like this. Like them and all the demons around them vanish. Like they're demons.
Yeah.
So maybe the Emperor is a god, a chaos god, and he's just now starting to make his like chaos demons.
Which would be the Legion of the Damned.
Yeah, sorry, not his chaos demons, but like his demons, which are the Legion of the Damned, like these like ethereal, like flaming Space Marines, like, because everyone sees like Space Marines as the avenging angels.
So he's turning them to actual angels.
Yeah.
And also saints too. Who
Yeah, well, because Saint
Celestine.
Celestine was also weakened by this psychic barrier, however they worded it. So,
So it could be the Emperor's power manifesting through.
What about the stories of the people who actually go before the Golden Throne and talk with the Emperor?
I don't think anyone really does that.
Yeah,
Though.
they do.
There's two.
Well, there's like Alicia Dominique or something like that, and
There's also
there's a couple, but like they never say like
What?
the conversation that happens. They
Yeah.
just say they go before the throne.
no, I believe
No,
that
they
it's
never
recorded.
specifically
No, they always
say-
say the doors closed and they
Yeah.
had some kind of conversation,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say how.
Yeah, they leave it very vague.
And presumably it's psychic, obviously.
And like they could go in there, see the Emperor, and then the custode's like, "You probably shouldn't speak about this, but he's dead." You know,
He's
like-
been dead for 10,000 years.
You know, like, he's googling it. I love it when he googles stuff when me and Christian both know he's wrong. But he just needs to be right. Anyways,
I just don't need to be right, but I swear I read a conversation
No,
where
no.
the Emperor like almost burned out this guy's mind while they were talking.
no.
Okay, what is there a part of like the schools on Terra where they go before him
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
throne and they get their eyes burned out by
Yeah,
him?
all
Yeah.
psychers, all sanctioned psychers go through that process.
Okay, so if not him, then who's doing it?
Custodes.
Custodes
They're just standing there with an iron.
Yeah, like, yeah, the Emperor's not dead. That's
No,
the
it
thing.
was
This
a
is,
crazy theory out of left
yeah.
field. I don't even believe it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a
Anyways,
fun
do,
idea.
do we want to wrap this up? It's 2.5 hours,
Holy smokes! Yeah, wow.
11 o'clock.
It's not a hot room in here at all.
Yeah. One final quick little topic.
Yeah. Who's the most powerful figure in all? No, I'm just kidding.
Just a quick little topic.
That's not a quick topic at all.
So if you were a Space Marine in the Horus Heresy,
Oof.
what side would you choose?
Okay.
I know the background where you're Terra Marine, all that kind of stuff comes
Sure.
into play, but let's just say whatever you want, what side would you fall to? Like, what side do you find more relatable? Because Horus does make a lot of good points when he initially petitions people. Then it gets out of hand. But
Right.
until it gets out of hand, like, he does make some good points.
Yeah, like
So-
the whole like Adeptus Astartes in the Great Crusade was far from a perfect machine.
Yeah.
So, and he's kind of just playing upon that.
So, yeah, let's start.
Yeah, go for it, Christian.
I actually agree with Horus's secular reasons for rebelling. You have all these warriors who are, on the front lines doing all the crappiest jobs and conquering the galaxy, and then all their work is just being handed off to guys who didn't even work for it.
Yeah, and then just end up dropping the ball on a lot of things.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
Right? And like, we could do a better job. And in fact, there are some Space Marines in 40K who don't necessarily worship chaos, but are angry with what the Imperium has become.
Yeah.
Well, there's always going to be discontent,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Horus really played upon that emotion.
Yeah, and I think it's justified. I think they're right in that,
Is it justified enough to kill your own brother?
Well, at the end of the day, like, if they're fighting to free the Imperium from even, like, the tyrannical rule of the Emperor,
Yeah.
that's reason enough. And if your brother is going to fight you, it's not that you're trying to kill him, it's that, they're not going to stand in your way no matter what.
Yeah.
So you're forced to kill them, right?
You're never forced to actually kill your brother.
I hate when you say that.
So my question then for you, in the moment in 30K, absolutely you identify more with that. What if you had the hindsight to see what your rebellion would lead to? Would you still rebel?
Oh, obviously not.
Okay. So if you understood the consequences of what going to chaos meant, you wouldn't do it.
No, but I don't think anyone
I
would.
bet Horus knew.
They all thought they would
Horus
win.
knew there was going to be a complete... No,
You don't start a fight thinking you're going to lose.
Yeah,
This-
no.
this is the
I
difference
gave a look because of a different point.
Okay.
I gave a look that, yes, Horus knew that he was going to rip the galaxy apart.
Yes.
But maybe he didn't fully realize, like, the power of chaos and that he was turning to chaos. Because he was manipulated by Erebus the whole time, right? So maybe Erebus kind of, like, secretly kept some stuff from him and, you know, like,
It's
and
completely
slowly
possible.
twisted him more and more to the point where he didn't even recognize himself.
The only
You know.
reason I think he might truly have known is because you said he went to Moloch.
Yeah.
He witnessed chaos firsthand.
Exactly.
He
like,
knew exactly what was going on.
but when he first started the heresy,
Yeah.
maybe he didn't.
Sure. And that's what I'm saying. The slow tease,
Yeah.
that even gets Christian.
Yeah.
Right? But as soon as you understand the consequences
Yeah,
of the
then
action,
it's a different story.
Yeah.
Eric?
I wanna I identify I'm a Black Templar player originally, very
Yeah.
first. That's who I played.
And when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're a paladin
Right.
normally. You got that.
Yeah, like in World of Warcraft, I play a paladin,
Yeah.
right? So I want to say that I would be a loyalist. I also know that in the heat of the moment, like, emotions are powerful.
Yeah.
And when they're played upon, like, it's like we already know how easily manipulated people are.
Yeah.
So I want to think that I would have, like, the character and the backbone to, like, stand up for what I truly believe in, and I would most likely believe, like, in my brother and in, like, the Great Crusade we're doing. And
Yeah.
so I would like to say I'm a loyalist, but no one really knows until you're tested in the crucible.
Okay, Jordan? Horus or the Emperor?
I think, like, my personality would be Horus, but, you know, I think I would be a loyalist.
And why do you think that?
I think that it's hard to, like, argue that, like, Horus knows better than the Emperor, who's been around for as long as
Yeah, that's
human
true.
history.
And where Horus has only known war,
Yeah,
the Emperor
yeah.
has kind of done a
Yeah,
whole
like
bunch
I
of
would
things.
almost think, like, the Emperor, not only is the Emperor like very, very powerful, he would be very wise as well.
Yeah.
And he would have, like, the hindsight that of people who haven't existed nearly even a fraction of the time he has.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're putting your faith in the fact that he actually is the best possibility.
Yeah.
But Jordan, he's a tyrant.
But Horus is no less of a tyrant.
Horus is offering the option of freedom.
Yeah, cloak and dagger. There's no such thing as true freedom.
Chaos is true freedom.
Malal is true freedom. Korn isn't freedom. Slaanesh isn't freedom. Slaanesh is kind of freedom. Anyway.
You say that now when you don't have an anal plug in your butt.
Mark.
So me, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it to be a space marine. I don't like killing. So
if
today,
you're a member of the Imperial Army.
You're drafted.
Like-
you don't have a choice.
Yeah. You're
I
conscripted.
just die, man.
Oh,
like,
by the way,
I
you're
would
dead
just-
in basic training.
Yeah, honestly, like, I wouldn't make it anywhere in 40K. Like, I'm
Oh
too
my
weak.
gosh.
So, like, I there's an ant crawling around in our kitchen today, and my wife's like, "Oh, kill it," and I, like, go cradle it gently, let it outside. It would be too much, and I couldn't do any of
Okay.
it.
Okay,
But
suppose you made it
Yeah.
by some miracle
Then the
to be a
Emperor,
space marine.
because
Yeah.
I'm just a good guy.
Because
but-
you're too weak to
Yeah.
make your own
Oh my
decisions.
Exactly.
gosh. I hate when people use that argument. You're too weak. No.
To make your own
This means
decisions.
you're standing up for your own conviction. Like, you truly believe that it's the right decision. How does that make you weak?
Well, really, this whole topic of choosing the Emperor or Horus is kind of like voting Hillary or Trump. They both suck.
How does the Emperor suck?
Look at what he does.
Look what he has to deal with. You people. That's what he gets.
It's not my Emperor. Yeah,
Like,
but
we
Yeah, it's not like he doesn't have blood on his hands.
Exactly,
he's
it's not. It would not be a good place.
it's
But if I
different when
chose,
you're
it
a-
would be the Emperor.
It's a different when you're a god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But, like, I mean, if you were a different species, let's say, you would hate the Emperor.
Yeah, he's exterminating your
Yeah.
people too.
He's a
Yeah.
genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
Who is
How dare you guys?
Actually, just quick total side note, but backtracking a little bit. Horus has a moment where he questions why they're exterminating Xenos.
And even
That's
like
true.
yeah.
He meets Xenos that are peaceful
Yeah.
and come into contact with humanity and have like advanced technology that they could share.
And then other people go and kill them all. And
And in his mind, he's like, "Why are we doing this?"
Yeah.
So even like Horus falling to chaos, or at least like rebelling against his father, isn't totally unjustified. He's like looking at his father. He's like, "Why are you making me do this?"
Yeah.
the everything goes back to the fact that he's older, he's wiser, he knows exactly what he's talking about. Like, it really goes on whether or not you believe that, like, who's going to take better care of humanity, Horus or the Emperor.
Yeah.
So far, Emperor wins, hands down. Time and time again, he has humanity's regard. He doesn't have
Yeah,
the individual's
but
best
he has
interest,
humanity as
but he
a
has
whole.
humanity's best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Unless you believe the only reason he's doing it is to transcend.
Classic utilitarianism
Cool.
versus the individuality of chaos.
Well, Christian, if you want to talk about politics, that's going to be our 8th podcast. We're going to discuss Marxism on our next episode. Well, thanks, guys. This was episode 7.
Yeah, I hope we amused you guys enough with this horrible coverage of the Horus
man.
Heresy.
It's so sad. But yeah, this was our Horus Heresy episode.
I had fun.
It was good.
Yeah, this
It's nice.
this episode I was dreading. I'm like, oh man, but I think we did it justice.
It was nice to
enough.
have Christian back.
Yeah.
Really, thanks for showing up.
Yeah.
He knows he's welcome anytime he wants. But go ahead, like us on our Facebook page. You can just search Lorehammer. Our Twitter handle is Lorehammer40K. Our email address is lorehammerpodcast@gmail.com. Always send us a message. None of us have lives.
give us a review on iTunes.
Yes, go like
A
us
good
on
review.
iTunes.
Don't bother with a bad review.
Go like us on iTunes. Hit us up with a review. The more you do it, the more like we get out there, and then I just want to be famous. So
Pretty much.
Internet famous.
yeah, it's the only reason I'm doing this. Really,
That's funny. I do it because I like 40K.
I actually despise 40K.
He doesn't even know what 40K is.
No.
Is that what?
What is 40K? It's just, why would you put a letter and a number in the same thing? That makes no sense. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys.
Let's give one shout out here.
Uh-oh.
Me and you went to Shoebox Games.
Oh, yeah.
And we met a guy named Derek. He seemed like a pretty cool guy, and we're gonna try to get involved in the league. So
Yeah.
maybe one day he'll listen and he'll hear this.
Hey,
And
here's to you, Derek.
he'll go easier on us when we play him. It's what I'm hoping for. Ulterior motive, but yeah. Thanks for being a friendly guy there.
Yeah, it's
Derek.
it's always nice to meet people when,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they're more
no, it
than
is.
welcome to welcome
And like you can
into
just
their
pick
game.
up a conversation and it's fine. Like it wasn't awkward at all with him, so yeah, it's nice. That's all.
All right. From Eric, I'm out.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Have a good night, everybody.